There's one habit that will change your life, and it is do not sleep with your phone. Because the one decision everybody makes that kills your productivity, kills your focus, tanks your mental health is before you get yourself right, you grab your phone and check in with the world. And that means you gave your most important commodity, your time and your attention, to things that don't matter. Use a 5-second rule. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get out of bed. Do not lay there like a human pot roast, marinating in fear, staring at the ceiling. Get out of bed. So people who hit the snooze button, based on the research, when you drift back into sleep, it triggers your brain to go into a sleep cycle that typically lasts between 75 and 90 minutes. And when the alarm goes back off,
in 5 minutes.
5 minutes, you're in what they call a state of sleep inertia. It impacts your productivity for 4 hours. Make your bed, because it is a way to keep a small promise to yourself. It's also a way to have a nice place to come back to, like a gift tonight. The third thing I want you to do when you go to the bathroom is I want you to look in the mirror, and I want you to add a high five in the mirror to your morning routine. We did this massive study. 50% of men and women cannot look at themselves in the mirror in the morning. And the rest of us glance at ourselves in the mirror and focus on what we hate. If you physically raise your hand without saying a word, and you raise your hand to the mirror, something crazy happens. A lifetime of positive neurological programming that has been attached to the act of giving a high five to other people gets aimed back at you. The next thing I want you to do is simply take 5 minutes, the remaining 5 minutes that you have, and do some kind of mindset practice. And as the close of the practice, before you look at your phone, I want you to decide what is one thing that matters to me today that I'm going to make progress on. That's it.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because I need them for me, because I want to wake up every day and watch a video that puts me in a mindset to believe in myself more and go off and accomplish amazing things and attack the day. And I hope that this video does that for you as well. So today, let's get some incredible motivation from the one and only Mel Robbins. Enjoy.
The high five habit has taught me how to truly be fulfilled and be connected to myself, to support myself. And that's what you need right now. You can't rely on anything outside of you. You cannot rely on the world fixing itself. You have to find your power inside you. When you know that you can have your own back, and when you know that you can literally move the needle on anything through your own attitude and your own effort, you will have a sense of confidence you've never experienced before. I see Bridget asked, does the high five habit serve as a reset for our brains? Yes, it does. In fact, it does something even more profound than a reset for your brain. What it does, Bridget, is, and this is a game changer, and I'm going to explain the science right now. It not only hits the reset button and breaks all of those negative habits that are in your mind, the negative self-talk, the bashing, the judgment, the shame, all of it. It hits the reset button on that. And more importantly, it programs in an entirely new soundtrack as it relates to how you see yourself. And you want to know the coolest part, everybody? You don't have to say a darn thing. Your body and your mind are designed to do this for you. After you wake up, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you get up, and then I make my bed, you go high five to the heart, you got a calm nervous system. Now I want you to walk into the bathroom. And when you walk into the bathroom and you stand with yourself in front of the mirror, I want you to take a moment, okay? And I want you to just be with yourself. Because I guarantee you right now, you have a habit that is part of your morning routine. And that habit that you have that's part of your morning routine is the opposite of a high five. This is the part of your morning routine, you know, where you're brushing your teeth and you basically check out and you start to bash your appearance, or you ignore yourself, or you think about the day ahead and you automatically think about everything that's about to go wrong or that you haven't done. This is the part of your morning routine that is a habit where your mindset goes negative. And so what I want to do is I want you to create a brand new, deliberate and intentional habit right after you brush your teeth, because you got to clean those teeth of yours. You know, you cannot go out in the world with dragon breath every day. You got to clean the teeth. The second that you put your toothbrush down, now we are going to do the high five habit. And I want you to do it right after you brush your teeth, because science tells us when you stack a new habit, with something you already do every day, it makes it much easier for your brain to remember it and for it to become part of your subconscious routine. So as you put the toothbrush down and you stand there, I want you to take a minute and I want you to look at yourself and look past your body. There's a human being in there, a human being that has been waiting for you to wake up and look them in the eyes and start showing up and supporting and cheering and celebrating them. And as you look at yourself, I want you to think about something. Who are you going to be today for that person? How are you going to show up today for the person you see reflected in the mirror? And as you think about your life and what matters to you and what your goals are, what's the game that you're playing? How are we going to inch the ball down the field today? Because remember, I believe that productivity is about making progress in something that matters to you. So what is the game you're playing today that matters to you, and how are we going to inch the ball down the field? And once you've set that intention, which based on recent research, everybody, all you need is just a minute of intentional reflection about how you're going to show up today and who you're going to be. And based on research, it increases your productivity. It changes how you behave, and it increases the impact that you have on those folks around you.
When you catch yourself procrastinating, forgive yourself. Step one. The next time you catch yourself procrastinating, step one is forgive yourself. And there's a really profound reason why. Procrastination is not about laziness. It's not about a lack of discipline. It's not something you do because you're dumb. Procrastination is a coping mechanism. You just have a desire to feel good right now, and you deserve that. You have a desire to lessen the stress in your life, and you deserve to lessen the stress in your life. I get it. And this first step, to forgive yourself, this comes from research from Dr. Peichel. By the way, he has been studying procrastination for 2 decades. I mean, just imagine that. Studying procrastination for 2 decades. That is a dedicated person right there, and we thank you for your service to all of us. His research found that people who forgive themselves are less likely to procrastinate again. In fact, there was a study that he did. I want to turn to the page. I got the book right here. He co-authored a paper about how students who forgave themselves for procrastinating were less likely to procrastinate on their next test. It sounds silly, but part of the problem that psychologists have uncovered is that when you're somebody that procrastinates, you're really hard on yourselves to begin with. In fact, being hard on yourself is one of the major causes of why you're so damn stressed. And so taking a moment and forgiving yourself, and you've got to actually have a talk with yourself where you are sitting there like, oh my God, 2 hours just went by? Wow, I must be really stressed out. I forgive myself for just blowing off 2 hours on social media. And you know what? I can spend the next hour setting my day up tomorrow for success. Or maybe you see all your bills and you realize you haven't opened those suckers in 2 months. Just go, wow, I haven't opened my bills in 2 months? I must be really nervous about this. I forgive myself for not doing that. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just do the best that I can. I'm going to face this head on. Because the next step that you're going to take, once you forgive yourself, you got to recognize that you're doing it. Why? Because patterns and habits repeat unless you replace them. And so noticing that it's a pattern, catching yourself, forgiving yourself, that is a way we're going to break this pattern. What you're dealing with when you have imposter syndrome is you're dealing with a lack of self-worth. You literally kind of see all the things working out, but you've got this like annoying voice in your head that's saying, you don't deserve this. This is luck. How many of you have that story? This is luck. This is going to run out. This isn't due to me. Yeah, we got to literally destroy that voice. That is from your past. And part of the reason why you have that voice, by the way, is because of racism. It's because of discrimination. It's because of childhood trauma. It's because of various experiences that you've had, where either your experiences growing up or society at large has made you feel either overtly or in a really like gross and sort of sly way like you don't belong. And so it is critical for you to start to punch that voice, literally, out of your head. And I'm going to give you some steps to do it, okay? The second thing that's really important is that in addition to stopping down that voice, because it's not your voice, that is somebody else's voice that your brain listened to and then started repeating. And the thing about your brain is that your brain is this really cool computer that learns patterns. And what I want you to understand is that patterns repeat unless you break and replace them. And if you have a pattern of thinking, like what Heidi has, that says, you're not worthy, you don't deserve this, luck is gonna run out, at some point, the you know what's gonna hit the fan again, brace, don't count on anything, like you didn't earn this. If you got that pattern running in your head, that is a broken pattern. You're not broken. That pattern of thinking is broken. And so the line in the sand that I want to draw starting today is you're not allowed to listen to that garbage anymore. We are going to go on a mission together to notice whenever it comes up, oh, interesting, there it is. There's that pattern. It's spinning, just like a load of laundry, right up there. And I'm going to teach you, once you recognize that pattern, you're going to use this thing that I created called the 5-second rule. You're going to count backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because that shuts that down. And counting backwards, let's all do it together. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now notice when you counted, did you feel a little pressure right here? Yeah, that was me hypnotizing you. No, I'm just kidding. What you were feeling is by counting backwards, it's a little brain hack that interrupts all the garbage that's here in the interior part of your brain. This is where imposter syndrome lives, everybody. This is where anxiety is. This is where self-doubt is. This is where self-criticism is. This is where it's all stored. When you notice, oh, there's that voice again, and you count backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you shut it down, and then you awaken this part of your brain. This is the part of the brain that you used when you were taking the SATs. This is the part of the brain that you used when you applied for that job, when you speak up in that meeting, when you tell somebody, no, you cannot borrow my dress tonight. No. When you have boundaries, right? This is the part of the brain that gives you immediate control over what you think and do next.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there.
Here's what everybody gets wrong about manifesting. Everybody, at least kind of in the mass market, what you're trained to think about when you think about manifesting is vision boards. And when you hear the word vision boards, you think about the big stuff. Should you have big dreams? Of course you should. Should you dream of building a mansion on the ocean if that's your thing? Yes. Should you dream of the log cabin? Yes. If you want a Lamborghini or the new Ford Bronco, should you put, yeah, yes, yes, yes. If you want the family, if you want the body, should you think about, yeah, absolutely. Here's where everybody goes wrong. You dream about the end, you make this gorgeous collage of all this stuff that has nothing to do with your current life. That literally, as you're sitting in your studio apartment with the cat box that hasn't been changed in 2 weeks.
No food in the fridge.
No food in the fridge, and you're looking for a job, and you're staring at a mansion going, someday, it's going to make you feel like a loser.
Yeah.
Because the gap between where you are and where you want to go, it seems insurmountable. And so what happens, based on the research, is when you only visualize the end game, Lewis, it's demotivating. At first, it's really fun to like have a bottle of wine and make your like collage. I'm gonna visualize, I'm gonna slap this up. There's my vision board, this is fabulous. Law of attraction, baby. Come on, I'm gonna think about it, it's gonna come to me. Okay, I've been doing this for 2 days. I'm still in this apartment with the cat box that needs to be changed. The way to visualize properly is to visualize the bridge between where you are and where you need to go.
The bridge.
Yes, and particularly the horrible stuff. I like to think about life as one long road trip. Every year of your life is a mile marker on the road of life. And the thing about this road trip is it's a solo journey. You started at mile 0 and you were alone. That's how you came into this world. And wherever the road of your life leads you, when you leave this world, you're going to be alone when you leave. Yes, you'll be surrounded by family and friends, but when you actually pass over, you are on your own. And the truth is, it is a solo journey. Yes, you're going to drive parallel with some people. Yes, you're going to intersect with some people. Yep, you're going to travel in packs, but you are driving alone. And look, I'm not telling you this to make you feel isolated or unsupported. That's the last thing that I want you to feel. The reason why I'm telling you this is because I want you to understand the power that you have to make these dreams part of your day-to-day life as you pursue them. I mean, maybe you've been so worried about what everybody else is going to think, and that's what's kept you from starting your YouTube channel or writing that screenplay or making a career change. I'm here to tell you, no one gives a shit about what you do. You want to know why? Because everybody else is driving their own car on their own solo journey, and they're busy trying to figure out their own life. When you realize that the only person who is truly judging you right now is you. When you embrace that you're the one in your way, it can spark a fire in your gut. Yes, it sucks that my friend has been telling herself for 20 years that she's not a real writer, that she's not a respected writer, that it's not that interesting. Yeah, that sucks to wake up and realize that you're the one that's been dragging yourself down. But you want to know what sucks more? Spending another 20 years never writing it. So step 1, you have to acknowledge the thing that's on your list and that's in your heart. And then step 2 is take responsibility for doing whatever you can, however you're capable, in whatever big or small way to move toward it. Get serious about looking ahead instead of looking back. Looking out the window in front of you at the road ahead and where you want to go. You can inch your way day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year to creating a whole new life for yourself. In terms of my own experience with getting serious about creating the skill of confidence, it's a game changer. The more that you build confidence in your life, the greater the risks you're going to take. And that's critical in business, in life, for fulfillment. I also have the ability to say no and not even be bothered by what other people are going to feel. Why? Because I have the skill of confidence. It also makes you an incredible negotiator because you realize you would rather be respected than be liked. And see, this kind of need to be liked or to look good is part of the reason why you doubt yourself all the time. I want you to bring that power back internally. That's what the skill of confidence does. And you'll also be able to recognize when you're afraid of something and that fear is just kind of bullshit in your head and you have a choice. You don't have to let fear stop you anymore. And that's where the skill of confidence comes in. And the same is going to be true for you. So I think it kind of begs the question. If confidence is something that we all want, why is it so hard to master? I'll tell you why. Because when it comes to the research around confidence, it is some of the most dry, boring, no offense to the confidence researchers and writers out there, but I'm talking if you have trouble sleeping, just print out a study about confidence. That'll put you into deep REM sleep. It's also confusing. And even Google isn't much of a help on this topic. If you search how to be confident, you know what the top results, one of them says? Be true to you. What the hell does that even mean? Be true to you. And honestly, be true to you, that is not what the research says. The problem and why it's hard for people to develop the skill of confidence is the research has not been boiled down into tactical information that you can apply to your day-to-day life. And that's where your friend Mel Robbins comes in. So here's your first assignment on today's podcast, because you know we're not just listening here. This is a doing podcast, and we're going to make this tactical and relevant immediately. Assignment number 1, be selfish as you listen. I want you to listen a particular way. I want you to listen and think, what's in it for me? And so let me ask you a question to help you get really selfish. If you had more confidence, like I could go, and boom, you have more confidence than you've ever had in your entire life, how would your life be different? How would your future be different? Now, Heather has already shared that she has this awesome promotion, which she clearly earned. I mean, businesses don't just give those out as charity. If a business has promoted or hired you, they believe in your ability to execute. But now she's freaking out. She doesn't have the confidence. Now, when you think about confidence, how would more confidence help Heather's life be different? Well, confidence would allow Heather to step into that role, right? And she would be able to lose the self-doubt and the imposter syndrome and the panicking. And she'd be able to act like the leader that the organization promoted her to be, right? Without all the nervousness and crap going on in her head. What about you? Let's get selfish. What would more confidence allow you to do that you're not currently doing? Would you be able to say no? Would you be better with boundaries? Are there more risks you would take? Is there a conversation you've been avoiding with yourself or someone else? Would you be able to stand up for yourself, advocate more for yourself, ask for what you need? What about work? Would you be more visible? Would you speak up more? All of that you just envisioned, it's all within your reach. My definition of confidence that I want everyone to walk away with is confidence is the willingness to try. In research, there is something called the confidence competency loop. And what that means is that as you try something for the first time, like I was curling my hair this morning and I freaking burned my ear. And my daughter casually says, gotta learn somehow. By trying, and by the way, screwing it up and burning my ear, I still am gaining a little bit of competence. Mm-hmm. I know to hold this thing a little bit further away from my ear now. By gaining competence by burning my ear, I now am going to try again, and I'm going to be a little bit better. And I'm going to gain a little bit more competence, and then I'm going to try again, and I'm going to learn even more. And so confidence, at the heart of confidence is action. It's the willingness to try. Mm-hmm. And all you need is to know that if you try, you're not going to die. Mm-hmm. You're just going to learn something. And when you learn something, it removes a little bit of the insecurity so that it makes it slightly easier to try again. Mm-hmm. And so I would follow the 60% rule. Okay. And I use 60% because that is the figure that was in the HP study about men applying for jobs when they feel 60% qualified. Mm-hmm. If you look at something that you want to do or try or apply for, and you feel, whether it's 60% qualified, okay, I got 60% of the stuff, because the truth is a job description, everybody, a dating profile, that is not requirements. That's a wish list, okay? If you got 60% of this stuff, freaking go for it. That's rule number 1, the 60% rule. The other thing is that if you're looking at doing something that you're scared to do, maybe it's signing up for an improv class. Maybe it is ordering the podcast equipment. Maybe it's signing up for Genius. Like you've been thinking about it. If you on a scale, you're on this teeter-totter. If you tip more toward I'd really like to, so about 60%, right? Wait, versus 40%, I'm kind of nervous. Freaking do it. That's how you build confidence. Because back to the original thing that we're talking about, self-doubt grows when you engage in negative talk to talk yourself out of the things you want to be trying. There is so much pain, Jay, in talking yourself out of trying things. And it just makes me so sad and frustrated to see so many of you that are listening, wasting years of your life, really feeling this desire to try something and putting all your energy into talking yourself out of it.
What's the number one thing that people have come up to you and said, Mel, I'm so glad that you told me that because I've been applying that in my day-to-day life?
It's without a doubt the 5-second rule, which is a brain hack that I invented 14 years ago when anxiety consumed me. We were 800 grand in debt. And I couldn't get out of bed. So we're talking about morning routines and finding space for yourself. And I would literally spend an hour every morning staring at the ceiling, consumed with our problems and anxiety and depression. And the 5-second rule is a simple tool. Everybody needs to know it. Every kid needs to know it. You simply count backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, in a moment where you're hesitating or afraid, and then move.
Get up?
Oh, absolutely, because something happens in your brain when you count backwards. You interrupt the patterns of worry and procrastination and beating yourself up, and you go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you require the prefrontal cortex to pay attention, which is the part of the brain that gives you immediate control over what you do next. We're in too much of a cancel culture. We ghost people, we label people and toss them to the side, and I believe that every human being is capable of changing. And I also believe that if you want people to become better, whether that's better in terms of their mental health or better in terms of their habits or addictions or beliefs or whatever it may be, you have to create room for people to change. And by labeling somebody as toxic and then just tossing them out the window, you are not identifying the behavior that doesn't work for you. And when you start to go, the behavior of you giving me the silent treatment is toxic behavior. And this is what my boundary is with it. I want you to know that when you have the revelation that the voice that you've listened to for years, the voice that's held you back, that made you feel like that it's actually not even yours, that can make your heart seize for a minute. It's kind of one of those like, wait, what? And then when I add on top of it that you're not to blame for the crap that somebody programmed into your head. You were just a little person with 3 pounds of macaroni that was trying to absorb everything around it. And our brains love patterns, and it picks up on patterns of speaking. And that's what your brain did. And so if you're having this revelation, holy shit, I've thought that everything's my fault for my entire life because somebody made me believe it was. And then I held on to that belief. Don't freak out. This is great news because so many people spend their entire lives not even realizing that it's possible to change the way you think. It is possible to put a new playlist in your mind. It is possible to filter the world completely differently and to make your brain work for you. Now, are you going to have positive thoughts all day long? No. Are you going to be like, 1,000% confident? No. But can you stop torturing yourself? Yes. Can you start encouraging yourself? You better believe you can. Can you separate what your narcissistic piece of ex-spouse said to you from what you actually believe about yourself? That you want to believe about yourself? Yeah, you can. Can you do it overnight? No. You're going to have to work at this, just like the people in your past worked over time at saying things to you that beat you down.
So my biggest struggle now is creating self-love for myself without feeling guilty, without feeling like I'm not being humble enough, or without feeling like I'm less of a mother or less of a wife because I'm taking care of myself. I know it's the other way. I know that I have to take care of me so I can take care of others, but I just have a hard time doing it without feeling that guilt.
Janet, I got some bad news. You can't remove the guilt. I'm going to say that again. When you first start putting yourself first, you will not remove the guilt. And so I just want to be honest about that. But let me give you the two takeaways, okay, that are really important, because this really isn't about guilt. This is about you defining for yourself what it means to be a good wife and a good mother and a good person in your eyes. And so I'm going to give you two major wake-up calls that I had around this topic, and then I'm going to tell you this crazy story. So the first wake-up call that I got is this notion that the people who love you, they will be annoyed with you when you put yourself first. It is true. They are not going to like it. They like you being the person that you are right now. It is convenient for them that you put them first. It is wonderful, the dynamic that's in place, but it's no longer good for you. So just expect that the people who you love will be annoyed or disappointed or upset when you start putting yourself first. But they're still going to love you. It's not an either or thing, and I'll explain more about that. And second, this is a huge wake-up call. What if the guilt doesn't go away? What if guilt is actually a good thing? What if guilt is super healthy to feel right now? In fact, that's what I believe. I believe that the guilt is good. I believe that the guilt is healthy. And I believe that you can reframe it. See, guilt shows that you care. That's why you feel that way. If you were a narcissistic douchebag, you wouldn't feel guilty at all for putting yourself first. I want to frame guilt in a different way for you, okay? Let's frame it from a bad sign. Ooh, I'm doing something bad. I'm putting myself first, into a good one. Stop seeing guilt as a bad thing, because you're not doing anything wrong when you put yourself first. Start seeing guilt as a good thing. Guilt is a sign that you're breaking free of this people-pleasing habit. You feel guilty because putting yourself first is just a new feeling. That's it. You know, I had this insight a few years ago that I think might help you. Two things can be true in life at the same time. You can put yourself first and disappoint people, and they can still love you, even though they're disappointed. And here's another example of how two things can be true at the same time. You can feel guilty, and you can still put yourself first. Pretty cool. It's not an either or. And that's why I say that this topic about people pleasing is about balancing your needs with the fact that in order to have great relationships, you do have to compromise sometimes. And the balance comes in because in order for you to have the life that you want, you are going to disappoint people that you love sometimes. I am here at the Dallas Convention Center, and there are 3,000 chairs out there, and we have just run through the tech rehearsal, and I'm going to tell you a little secret about how I manage my nerves and how I flip it into excitement. And this is something you can steal. There's always a reason why you are doing something. And when you can find the reason or the purpose for why you want to either give that speech or destroy this sales presentation or walk into your boss and advocate for yourself because of the contributions that you're making, or you just want to find the courage to stand up in a town meeting and talk. There's always a reason why. And so before you're about to do it, one of the things that you want to do is you want to remind yourself of why this matters to you. I want to, for example, at work, I want to be compensated and valued for my contributions, and it's my responsibility to make those contributions known. And so I'm going to be super proud of myself if and when I say this. Or I want to make a difference in my town, and so I'm going to have to start speaking up because my voice needs to be heard. I don't want to be complaining about what's going on in this town in my own house. I want to be advocating for what changes I'd like to see make, because I can make a difference. For me, whenever I give a speech, I always say the same thing to myself. I say that, yes, there are 3,000 seats here, but I'm only ever talking to one person. And I believe that there is one person in this audience today who is here because they are meant to be here. And there is something that I am about to say that will change their entire life, that they're going to learn something that might cure their anxiety or that might help them through a very, very, very dark moment to know that this is temporary. There is someone that's going to be inspired to make a major change. And I know that in the course of the hour that I am speaking on this stage, something is going to happen that is meant for that person. And if I trust that, it allows me to just ditch the script and show up as my full, highest expressed self. You know, look, it might be that I trip on the stage coming out. Not planned, but somebody in the audience seeing that, wow, if that woman on the stage trips and she gets back up, maybe I can stumble and get back up too. Look at how she just brushes it off and she doesn't care. What if I had that? I mean, it could be that. It could be something really profound, like getting sober or leaving a really abusive marriage. So I remind myself of that, and I'm only ever talking to one person. And that helps me. It helps me to stay focused and to know that what I'm about to do, even if it makes my stomach twist in knots, or even if I'm a little, quote, nervous about how it's going to go, it helps me stay aligned with my purpose. And that's where your power alley is always in life. And that's why it's so important for you to push yourself to express yourself and advocate for yourself and share your story. And so steal that idea. Remind yourself of why you're doing this. Only talk to one person and tell yourself that there is a person in this room and you are meant to say something in this room because somebody needs to hear you say it. And when you trust that, it's not about you. It's about the impact that you're about to make. It's okay to be comfortable. It's not okay to be small. Being too small in life, telling yourself that you should be small, that, it's okay, you know, that's the number one issue. Shrinking yourself. You see, for the last couple of years, every single January, I have taught a course about the science of dreaming. And not just dreaming, but dreaming big. And dreaming big as a way to create a whole new chapter in your life, a way to tap into your potential. And more than 200,000 people around the world have taken this Science of Dreaming course with me. And here's the number one thing that I noticed after teaching this course over and over and over again to people around the world. It's that telling yourself that you're small, putting a lid on your own dreams, on your own potential, convincing yourself that meh is okay, that's the biggest problem. If you're somebody who doesn't know what you want, I guarantee you it's because you do things that make you feel small. And then you tell yourself that's okay. And here's the thing that I'm really worried about. I'm worried about the fact that if you continue to do this, if you continue to tell yourself, I don't know what I want, I can never have it, I'm 46, I tried, it's hard, it's not going to work out for me. If you are the one that is against your big dreams in life, that is the reason why you're unhappy. That you are the single biggest, loudest voice for why you can't have what you deserve. That is the source of misery. That is the source of feeling lost. And so we got to stop that right now. Because the fact is, I don't care how long you've worked on your dreams, how long you've avoided your dreams, how long you've been scared of your dreams, how long you've downplayed your dreams. Those dreams are still very much alive inside of you. You're not supposed to be small. You're not supposed to be arguing against your dreams. Let other people do that. You're the one who's supposed to have the biggest and the loudest and the brightest voice when it comes to the matter of your dreams. It's really hard to find the courage to make a decision that is the right decision for you. And it's hard because we are so quick to consider what everybody else is thinking. We're so quick to weigh how our decision is going to impact somebody else's feelings. That's why we don't trust our gut. We all know we need to trust our gut. That's duh. The thing is how. And so takeaway number one that I want you to leave with is stop saying trust your gut and start saying I need to have the courage to make decisions that are right for me. Second, feeling. Give yourself the ability and the time and the quiet to drop into your body and feel whether or not the decision or the direction opens up possibility, makes you feel like you're growing and thriving. It levels you up. It may be scary as hell. I mean, think about Amy's story. How the hell are you going to do 12 months of revenue in 1 month? You just declared that? Who the does that? You do. If it feels like a part of you is opening up, there you go. There's your decision. If it feels like a part of you is shrinking, oh, I'm going here because everybody in my family went here. I'm a doctor because everybody in my family is a doctor. I live here because everybody lives here. That's not the right decision. And finally, when you do drop in and you allow yourself to step onto a tour with the future you're going to feel the no first. Listen to it. You're going to feel the yes because it feels like an opening. Find the courage. Alana said in her opening sentence to me, I'm scared of the rejection I will face when I start making choices for the new me. I read something interesting, and I want to tell you this before I forget it, and then I'm going to talk generally about friendship, hoping that the way that I'm thinking about friendship will help you lose the guilt. Number one, this came from a book that my husband was reading about alcohol. And it really made me stop and think, and that is this. When you decide that you don't want to drink for whatever reason, what's interesting about being somebody that doesn't drink at a party is that the only person that gives a shit what's in your glass is you. Nobody else typically cares. But the thing that's interesting is that when somebody says to you, would you like a drink? And you say, no, I'm not drinking. I'm not drinking for the month of January, or no, I'm sober, or nah, I don't feel like it. What happens is the fact that you're turning down the alcohol, it can actually magnify somebody else's struggle with their own decisions around it. And so the first thing that I want to point out is, if you have friends that make you wrong for changing your life for the better, that's their issue. It's not yours. And so you got to untangle the fact that they have baggage about getting in shape, or they have baggage about going to the bar that's theirs. And it has nothing to do with the decisions that you're making. So if your friends in general give you blowback for changing for the better, what you need to say in the back of your mind is, interesting. They're obviously very conflicted about their choice to go to the bar and drink every night, but that has nothing to do with me. Here's the other thing you can do. If they start to make you wrong, you can say, well, you want to go to Planet Fitness with me instead? It doesn't sound like you want to be at the bar. So that said, let me talk to you a little bit about friends. Friends are people that you care about. And I have this test, I call it the funeral test. If somebody in your life were to die, ask yourself, would I go to their funeral? If the answer is yes, they're a friend of yours. That's the test for whether or not, in my opinion, someone is a friend, because it means you care about them. Now, here's the other thing about friendship that I want you to understand. You can care about somebody and not like hanging out with them. And that's the situation that you're in right now. That you have plenty of friends that you care about. If they were to die, you would go to their funeral. If they needed you, you would be there. If you saw them, you'd be happy to see them, but you don't like to hang out with them. The other thing that I want you to think about is that, and that's okay, that's like a normal part of friendship. And the reason why that's a normal part of friendship is because one of the things that we know about life is that you're always going to be changing. In the old pattern and the old chapter, you had certain patterns, right? In the old chapter of your life, you would go to the bar and drink. You would go to the store and spend money you didn't have. You're in a new chapter now. And so you have different patterns. When your life takes on different patterns, whether it's you're no longer going to the bar, you're going to the gym, the pattern might even be that one of your kids is playing with a different soccer team, or maybe you've moved to a different street in your town. When the patterns change, so will your circle of friends. It's a fact of life. But that doesn't mean your old friends, the ones that you used to drink with, aren't friends anymore. It just means that you don't want to hang out with them. You still care about them, but you don't like doing what they do. All anxiety comes from childhood, and it comes from the experience of being separate in childhood. And so every single one of us has an experience, and you may not remember it because 80% of your brain is formed by the time you're 5 years old. but you have an experience where you, as a kid, feel distinct and separate from your caregiver. And he talks a lot about this concept of a parental mismatch. So there are a lot of us that have parents who are wonderful people, or maybe they're not wonderful people, but you have parents who are wonderful people. But for you emotionally, just like the 5 love languages, there can be a mismatch in terms of the love language you speak and need and what your partner does, that your parent and the way that they provide emotional support is a mismatch. And so as a kid, when you don't get the reassurance you need, or when you don't feel loved or seen or heard or accepted, you feel separate from the parent that you're biologically hardwired and needing to bond with, which also means you feel unsafe. And so as a little kid, at some point, an alarm would go off in your body whenever you felt separate from your parents. And it could be as innocuous as go hug your uncle. And you're like this, I don't want to hug my uncle. And you're like, get in there. Or don't do that now. I'm busy, or the snapping at you. And you immediately feel that alarm because you feel separate. And so what happens is that this alarm that starts going off and going off and going off in moments where you feel separate, you're not feeling the love that you need, you're not feeling connected, you're not feeling reassured, it starts to go off all the time. Now, as you get older and older and older, I mean, we've all had the experience of walking in to see old friends at lunch. And for many of us, we feel that alarm go off. They've all arrived there. They're all talking. You feel that sense of separation. That's anxiety. That's what it is. It's in your body. And it is, according to Dr. Kennedy, it is the little you basically waving their hand saying, I need a little reassurance right now. That's all that it is. And for decades, I have approached what has been an experience of living with anxiety from the neck up. I mean, the 5-second rule is a neck up approach. And based on the last 2 years of intense therapy that I've been in, and a lot of stuff that I've recently learned from Dr. Kennedy, I realize it is fundamentally a neck down issue. That attacking anxiety and these moments where you feel separate or scared, or you feel the alarm go off in your body, if you, instead of treating it like a signal that something's wrong, if you actually treat it as a signal that you just need a little bit of love from yourself right now, just put your hand on your heart. You can take a towel and kind of do this on your back, rub it back and forth, and you feel like you're hugging yourself. Take a deep breath. Tell yourself whatever you need to hear in that moment in order to reassure yourself that you're going to be okay, or that whatever, I get it. You feel a little nervous, but all those people at that table love you. It's freaking bonkers how powerful of an approach this is. And it's also made me realize that, wow, I am so not used to giving myself that kind of love and reassurance. No wonder I'm uncomfortable letting other people give it to me.
When you stand before yourself in front of a mirror and you look at yourself, you drag with you your entire past. Standing between you and the person you see reflected is everything that's been done to you. It's all of the abuse and the trauma and the mistakes and the disappointment and the heartache. And so many of you take all the stuff, the bad stuff that's happened to you or in your life, and you use that as evidence to say, I'm a failure. I'm not worthy. I don't deserve it. See all this evidence? That person I see is not somebody who deserves a high five because of what's happened to them. Or maybe, like the rest of us, you've done things in your past that you deeply regret. You were doing things because you were trying to survive and you haven't forgiven yourself. And so you stand there every morning and subconsciously what's there is judgment. And so if you're resisting raising your hand and celebrating yourself just for standing there and just for being there and just for showing up for another day, despite all the stuff that's happened to you, the resistance is the problem. Because until you forgive yourself, until you start to look yourself in the eye and say, because of all this stuff, I deserve a high five. I've survived this. because of everything that has happened to me. And because I still show up and try a little harder, I deserve support. I deserve celebration, and I need it. I need it. It's so obvious, and yet none of us do this. We stand in judgment. You think because you got fired or your last business failed, you are a failure. And that's why you won't cheer for yourself right now.
If you have big goals, you better stand in front of that mirror and high five yourself every day, every single step of the way. Stop looking around and waiting for everybody else to do it. Start giving it to yourself, and you will be shocked at how much more quickly things start to happen, at how much more joy you experience along the way, at how much more present you are.
Yeah.
It's wild. And this isn't about like pumping yourself up to think you're like the best person on the planet. This is like the baseline. This is literally being like, you know what? You're going to have an okay day. Let's go do this. You know what? I see you. I know this is hard. Keep going. I know you're nervous to have this hard conversation with this person. I believe you can do it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Like it's just one little boost along the way. You know, if you think about the things that go viral, it's little kids in front of a mirror with their parents getting them to talk affirmations.
Believing in themselves, yeah.
Correct. We all know that's how we're supposed to feel. But we feel weird and cheesy practicing it?
Right.
You kidding me?
Right.
The other thing that goes viral, all these teachers that are high-fiving and fist-bumping kids with
That's
these
true.
handshakes as
Yeah,
they go
that's
in,
true.
and the
That's
mirror
true.
one with the I am that just kind of went viral. Why do we all love that? Because we know each one of those kids just felt seen and felt good and felt motivated walking into that classroom. Start your day that way. Every single day when you wake up, you can find 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes to move from thinking about what you want to taking action on what you want. Picking up the pen, writing a sentence, sending an email, doing the research, taking a class. All of these actions are how you move towards what you want while you're still in the life that you have. That's how you do it. And the other thing that you're going to have to pay attention to is energy. Because just like you are wasting precious time on that doesn't really matter to you, you are also wasting your precious energy spending time with people who are draining it from you, who are not giving it back to you. And so every single day when you wake up, I want you to pay attention to where you're putting your time and where you're putting your energy. And I want you to find 5 measly minutes to start working on what you want in the physical world instead of keeping it a secret in your heart and in your mind. One of the high five habits is what I call giving your heart a high five. And this, in many ways, I think is just as profound as high-fiving your reflection and just the depth of research that goes into explaining why it has such a profound impact in terms of how you relate to yourself. But high-fiving your heart is putting your hands kind of right on your heart, one on top of the other, and saying, I'm okay, I'm safe, I'm loved. And I started doing this when the pandemic hit, and I started to wake up to a wave of anxiety. And one of the things that we learned in writing this book is that the first thing that you need to be able to do before your brain can even engage in new patterns of thinking is to settle your nervous system. So, we wrote a bunch about the vagus nerve, but when you put your hands over your heart first thing in the morning and give your heart a high five and say, I'm okay, I'm safe, I'm loved. First of all, it's true, because if you can say those words, you're okay, you're safe, you're loved. But secondly, it tones what's called the vagus nerve, which I know you talk about on this show, that is the secret to switching between your parasympathetic and your sympathetic nervous system. So if you're somebody like me, who has lived your life on edge, if you grew up in a chaotic household, if you've experienced trauma, if you constantly feel like you're waiting for the other shoe to drop, if you wake up and the first thought is, I've done something wrong, someone's mad at me, I want you to try this other high five habit by high-fiving your heart. You can say it 15 times if you have to. I'm okay, I'm safe, I'm loved. It will soothe your nervous system and settle it, because you cannot have new thoughts or learn new behavior if your nervous system is on edge or on hyper alert. You're the kind of person, just like me, that every single year you write down the things that you want in your life. And I would imagine that as each year rolls on and the new list gets written, you move the thing that you didn't work on this year to the list that you do for the next year. And on and on and on. I mean, how many years have you been thinking about writing a book? Or changing your job? Or changing where you live? Or healing some aspect of your past? Or finding love? Or learning how to love yourself? Or starting that business? These things that you hold in your heart, they are meant to be out in the world. And today, I'm on a mission to get you to stop waiting. Stop waiting for the perfect time. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for the money. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting to feel like somebody's going to care about this. The only person that needs to care enough is you. Because today is the day that you're going to pick up the pen. You're going to start the research. You're going to commit to taking action. Why? Because that's what you're meant to do with your life. You're meant to create a bigger vision for yourself.
There was a research study done about NBA teams. So we got sports fans here. Check this out. So NBA teams, they did this study where they wanted to know, are there any patterns that you could trace back if you took the championship teams and then trace back all the way back to the preseason? Are there defined patterns that are consistent with the championship teams that are not present with the teams that perform the worst? And sure enough, there were. You can predict who is going to be in the championships rounds of the NBA by a simple pattern in the preseason. And you want to know what it is? The teams that go on to win have the most number of high fives, backpats, fist bumps, and gestures of encouragement in the preseason. Why would that make a difference? I'll tell you why it makes a difference. Because those high fives, just like you high five a runner every step of a marathon to encourage them to move forward, they build trust. They transfer energy. They say, I believe in you. They build partnership. And I'm here to tell you, life is hard. You need to build a partnership with yourself. When you stand with yourself every single morning with a calm and cool nervous system grounded in your body, and you look at yourself in the mirror with compassion and forgiveness and love and understanding and support, and you decide what game you're going to play today and who you're going to be and how you're going to show up, and you raise your hand and you seal that with encouragement, support, and celebration, you will be unstoppable because you will know the secret to life. And that is never giving up on the person who is staring back at you in the mirror and making sure that no matter what happens, the one person whose back you've always got is the one that's always going to be with you. And you've got an opportunity every single morning to start your day by taking care of that person instead of criticizing and ignoring them. And if you're serious about changing your life, if you're serious about feeling more fulfilled, if you're serious about enjoying your life and being content and feeling like you're in control, no matter what's going to happen, that you have the ability to survive this. You have the ability to grow from this. You have the ability to take this opportunity and make it something even bigger.
Everybody that struggles with addiction does this exact same thing. Tomorrow, I'm not drinking. That's it. I'm done with this. And then the next morning, it's the same pattern of negative crap that you're doing to yourself. And this is exactly what you talk about all the time. It's not the what you need to do, it's how. How do you make yourself do the things that feel hard or scary or don't seem like they're going to work because you're resigned and you're stuck in your patterns? That was me. I knew I needed to get out of bed. I knew I needed to stop drinking. I knew I needed to look for a job. I knew this wasn't Chris's fault and I needed to stop screaming at him all the time, but I wasn't doing any of those things. I didn't know how. And so this was the moment I created the 5-second rule. And again, this is another I-beam or T-beam or whatever the hell beam it's called. I'm sitting in front of the television and I am watching TV. The kids are in bed and I'm drinking bourbon and I'm probably on like my 4th Manhattan and I'm having my nightly pep talk and I'm going, that's it. Tomorrow morning, it's the new me. I got to wake up. I got to do this. I got to do the other thing. And all of a sudden, Rich, honest to goodness, I see a rocket ship launch at the end of a commercial. And I go, that's it. Tomorrow morning, I'm launching myself out of bed like a rocket. And that was the beginning of the 5-second rule. intermittent fasting is a health protocol whereby you focus on periods of time where you're eating and periods of time where you are not eating. The purpose of intermittent fasting is to use periods of time where you are not eating to help you switch between the two different energy sources in your body. We learned all about this in part 1 from Dr. Mindy. You have an energy source that is all about sugar and calories and energy that happens when you eat. And then you have a second energy source that only turns on after an 8-hour period of not eating anything. And Dr. Mindy calls that your fat burning energy source. And so what we learned is that you are designed to switch between these two cycles, kind of like how you have cycles of sleeping and cycles of being awake. You have a circadian rhythm cycle. If you're a woman, you have a menstrual cycle. The human body runs on cycles and rhythms, and your eating is no different. And fasting is a way for you to be very intentional, not about what you eat. And that's why this is not a diet. Diets focus on what you eat. Fasting is a protocol that focuses on when you're eating for maximum health benefit. I literally fail over and over and over again. I lose my way 1,000,000 times before I find myself. And even when I find myself, I eventually feel lost again and go looking for myself again, constantly seeking, constantly growing, constantly failing. And so I start this life coaching business. I love it. It goes incredibly, incredibly well. This would have been like 2002 to like 2000, I don't know, I'm guessing here, 6 maybe. Mm-hmm. And what ends up happening is a friend of mine emails me, forwards an email to me. And when you look at the chain of when you look at the chain of the forward, what you see at the bottom is there's somebody at Inc. magazine looking to write an article about life coaches. And I immediately scan the thing, and it's a month old. The deadline is passed. I have none of the credentials they're looking for. I have none of the types of clients they're looking for. And I start to go, like we always do, down the list of reasons why I should not respond. Like we're always arguing against ourselves, always holding ourselves back. And I immediately say, wait a minute. What would somebody who's more successful than me do? And I'm like, they'd apply.
Right.
So I take a sip of wine, I start typing like crazy, and I just freeform this hilarious response back a month late with none of the credentials, da-da-da-da-da-da. She writes back the next day and says, I was about to turn the article in. What if I come to Boston next week and trail you?
Wow.
So she comes, she follows me around for a day. She ends up publishing an article. And I'm like, oh, yes, that's right, because the article released in 2005. And I'm like, this is going to be amazing. The timing of this article is fabulous. This article is going to print rich, and I am going to have an avalanche of clients. It's going to be awesome. The article prints crickets. Not a single client, not a single inbound email, nada, nothing. So I forget about it. I'm out to dinner one night. My phone's ringing. It's a New York number. Like, who the heck is calling me from New York? I pick up the phone, and is this Mel Robbins? Yeah, this is Mel Robbins. Hey, this is Mary Duffy from CNBC. I'm like, oh, hi, Mary Duffy. How are you? Having no idea who she is. She's like, well, I saw the article in Inc. magazine, and we'd like to fly you down and talk to you. So literally a week later, I find myself on a plane down to New York, drive over to New Jersey, walk into the offices. I sit down, and I am in a meeting with the executives at CNBC, and they're in a development meeting. Oh my God, coaching is hot. We think you're amazing. We want to do a show. We want to stick it between Kramer and Donnie Deutsch was on at the time, The Big Idea, and we'd like you to do da-da-da-da-da. I walk out of there with a freaking development deal.
Oh my God.
Let's detour into the lane of anxiety, of patterns and trauma, and talk about why people self-sabotage.
Yes.
People don't self-sabotage intentionally. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, today, I'm going to screw up my life.
Right.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drink myself on the ground. I'm going to cheat on my wife. I'm going to embezzle for my company. I'm going to lie to everybody about how I'm actually feeling. I'm going to stop taking my meds. I'm going to kick the dog. Like, nobody does that. What happens is people get triggered.
And they react.
And then they fall into old patterns. And so what happens, I believe, in relationships in particular, or jobs, where you're like, this time it's going to be different, is it's different for the first 3 to 6 months when it's novel and when you're intentional and when everything counts.
But then when you got to face yourself.
Then when it becomes like part of your life, you get lazy and you slip into old patterns. Or when the stakes get really high. Let's say you're somebody who had a parent die early, or your dad abandoned the family and you're scared to love somebody. And so you fall deeply for somebody. And then what gets triggered is this tremendous fear that they're going to leave.
Yeah.
Because that's your lived experience. And if you go back to what you did as a child to cope with that fear that somebody's going to leave, that's the exact pattern that you will repeat as an adult. The only way to end this, or to try to get your arms around it, is to attack it holistically. Because so much of this happens at the subconscious level, and it gets triggered first by your nervous system, and you're not even aware of it. What are you dealing with?
I was trying to be there for my husband, for my kids, and other people.
And you're not there for you, though. So is it more overwhelming the way that you think, or overwhelming because you have so much going on and you just physically can't get to all of it?
Physically can't get to all of it.
Okay. One thing that I want you to do, and this is going to sound really stupid, but do you sleep with your phone?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I used to have it right by me.
I want you to stop doing that.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
And here's why. Your phone is distracting you from the things that are important. And what's on your phone, the number of emails, the texts people are sending you, the news that's really scary. If you have that sucker next to your bed, do you wake up in the morning and then lie in bed and look at it?
It's usually my first thing. It's like, thank you, Lord, I'm awake. And then the phone.
And then the phone. And when you lay there and you look at what's on the phone, how does it make you feel emotionally?
Tired before I get out of the bed.
Yes. And does it start to make you feel overwhelmed about everything you need to do?
Yes.
Okay. What I want you to do instead is I want you to put the phone like in your closet or in your kitchen or in your bathroom, plug it in, leave the ringer on, because if your kids need to reach you, they can call you. I'm not going to text you. Tell work, if you need to reach me at 2 o'clock in the morning, don't send me an email, don't send me a text, call me, okay? And then I want you to go to bed. I want you to wake up. You're going to thank the Lord that you woke up. You're going to think about one thing that you're really grateful for to settle yourself, okay? And then you're going to get up.
Okay.
You're going to get up, and then I want you to go out in your kitchen before the madness happens with the kids in school, and it's back to school, and it's overwhelming, isn't it? And I want you to take 5 minutes. That's it. 5 minutes to just sit and think about what you need for you today.
Okay.
Just one thing.
Okay.
Just one thing. Are you going to call your mother today? Are you going to read a book for 20 minutes today? Are you going to go for a walk at lunch today? What's one thing you're going to do for you?
Okay.
And then let the rest of the day unfold.
Okay.
You can then look at your phone and get overwhelmed, but I want you to at least start a tiny little self-care practice in the morning.
Okay.
If you like to pray, when you get out of bed, don't pray in bed. You can thank God for the fact that you got up, but get out of bed.
Okay.
Go into the kitchen, do your morning prayers, think about one thing for you. Okay. Then let the rest of the world in.
Okay.
Okay? I want you to just crack open a little bit for you, and then it'll start to expand. You can make it 10 minutes, you can make it 15 minutes. But if you win the battle in the morning so that you can get out of bed without feeling tired and overwhelmed, we can start to spread that feeling through the rest of your day. Worrying is wasting time. It's robbing you of what you want to do in your life, and it's making you suffer in a needless way. Look, I don't want you to get to the end of your life and look back and think, I wish I hadn't wasted so much of my precious life on stuff that didn't matter. I wish I didn't let all that stupid worrying keep me from doing the things that I always dreamt about doing. I'm here to tell you that you can learn how to switch your thoughts to something more productive and optimistic. This is great news. Worry is a hackable thing, and I'm going to use a ton of science and proven experience to show you just how to hack it using one magical tool. And here's the great news. Once you learn how worry starts, you can use that knowledge to make it stop. You can practice this magical tool every day to quiet your mind. I mean, just imagine that. A quiet mind. Wow. I know exactly how you feel. I mean, I know how exhausting and frustrating it is to constantly be trapped in the grinding cycle of worrying about everything. How do I know this? I lived it. I've always been worried. I mean, if you could be a baby that worries, that was me. I'm sure at 11 months when my mom was running late to heat up my pureed carrots and potatoes, I was probably thinking, is she coming back? Where is she? I'm starving. I mean, I might just starve to death here. I think she hates me. She's left. Maybe she's angry about the face I made as I tried the pureed snow peas for lunch. Oh my gosh, what do I do? I have to find a new family to feed me. How am I going to find my new family? I got no connections, no money. I'm wearing a diaper. I can't even walk yet. I'm going to starve to death in the next 24 hours. That was baby Mel. And that was just the beginning. I mean, I was just kind of warming up for a life of worry on a very elite professional level. You know, as a little kid, I worried about everything from the teacher's reaction to whether or not the kid in the stall next to me was going to hear me fart. When I got to middle school, it was all about whether or not my tough skin jeans were cool or my acne or my new perm that I immediately regretted. When I was in college, I was worried if I studied enough for the test, if I was going to flunk out, if I was going to go blind from the grain alcohol I drank from the garbage can at that frat party. I worried if I had enough gas in the car to get to the grocery store. The truth about worrying is, once you let it start to spin, it just spins out of control. I'm sure you know this. I mean, worry has tormented me. Since I was a kid, it tormented me as a teen, in my 20s, my 30s, hell, my 40s. And if I can go from having this worry as my torturous default and learn how to interrupt it and redirect it and program a positive mind, you can too. The second you catch yourself worrying, when you feel your mind spin, when you feel your shoulders pinch up towards your ears like new earrings and you feel your jaw clench, and wait, there's more. You feel yourself starting to get heavy and paralyzed and defeated, and those worries start to spin in your mind. Here's exactly what you're going to do. It's just 6 magical words. It encapsulates incredible research. It's so simple. You can do it. And don't worry, it's going to work. Here are the 6 magical words you're going to say to yourself every time you worry. What if it all works out? That's it. What if it all works out? Look, I know what you're thinking. You feel let down right now. That's because you're worried it's not going to work. But what if it all works out? What if these simple, stupid 6 words actually work? What if trying this works out? You just heard me say the words. What if it all works out? And you know what your response was? Well, I don't think it's going to work out. That's why I'm worrying. You got to trust me on this. Your worries sound just as dumb as this magical tool does. You have just listened to your worry for so long that you believe it. Part of the reason why overwhelm is so debilitating is because when you're overwhelmed, your focus is scattered across absolutely everything. And you're thinking about your family and your health and the news and the this and the that and the presentation and the emails you didn't do and And at the end of the day, each and every one of those things is not really that important. There's probably, can we agree, 1, 2, or 3 things a day that really matter, that really need your attention? And the reason why we get so freaking overwhelmed with life is we allow our attention to get scattered and to get pulled in a bazillion different directions. And the solution to feeling more in control and to literally dealing with overwhelm, which is just an overwhelming amount of things that really, most of which are not that all important to you, but they're just distracting you, which then pulls your attention away from what really matters. You see, I'd rather have you do 2 or 3 things a day that really matter to you and let the rest just kind of fall where they fall, right? And so the surprisingly simple way to deal with overwhelm is to pick one thing that you're going to focus on every day for you. Like no matter what, you're going to do this thing. You're going to add a little structure. You're going to add something that you're committing to as a way to laser your focus on something that's in your control. It's absolutely awesome how this works. So I'm going to give you an example. When my husband first got diagnosed with depression, he became very overwhelmed. And what I noticed is that he decided to take this online fitness challenge. That's a little bit more than I'm telling you that you should do. But he did this fitness mental toughness challenge called 75 Hard. And even though it was a pain and even though it was hard, having this challenge to focus on as something he had chosen that he was going to commit to every day gave his life a simple structure that had a lot of things that were distracting him fall to the wayside. Same thing happened with our daughter. She became very overwhelmed after she graduated from college, did not know what she wanted to do. She was in a really unhealthy place, and committing to a simple set of new healthy habits that really were things she could control and committing to doing it for 3 months, it gave her this real discipline around focusing on what mattered to her. And the overwhelm started to disappear because when you create a simple structure for yourself and you say, you know what I'm going to do this week, no matter what this week, I'm just going to get up when the alarm rings and I am going to move my body for 30 minutes. And that is the simple structure I am going to put in place for me. And the reason why simple structures like this are so important is because in a sea of this, which is what overwhelm is, like all this stuff, you're like, nope, there is one thing that I am going to do for myself today. And that is the thing that I am going to focus on.
In life, to make people feel welcome. Super important to invite people, especially other women, to have a seat at the table. And one of the things that I've learned, and then I'm going to catch you all up on where we're at, okay? One of the things I've learned is that, there's so much success to go around. Have you wrapped your brain around the fact that there are, 8 billion people on this planet? There is so much success to go around. There's so much happiness. There's a tremendous amount of money to make. There's a ton of people to date. And when you focus on the fact that there is limitless possibilities for you, you're not in competition with anybody in this room. And the louder you cheer for other people, the more you invite people in, the more you will be invited in and the more cheering there will be for you. It is incredible when you can flip your mind from being jealous and competitive and small-minded, like if she's getting that, it means I don't. Oh, no. If you see somebody getting something that you want, it's evidence that you can have it too. You're just going to get it and have it in your own way. And so you want to make it a habit to cheer for and celebrate all the women, everybody you see around you, because their success means you can have it too. And trust me, if you are a talented, hardworking, kind person, a company will make room for you. They will find another job doing that same thing. And so you focus on you. You focus on being the best you. And I promise you, all the other people around you that are having those things that you want, that's evidence you can have it too. I like to think of other people as a light on the path I'm walking down. They're shining a light that helps me walk in the direction of what I want.
What has been profound in my marriage is that at the heart of all mental health issues for me, at the heart of all your interpersonal issues with anybody else is your own inability to handle uncomfortable feelings.
That's it.
That's it. And I have the just disgusting and awful toxic behavior of expelling my uncomfortable emotions at people. And my inability to tolerate stress or disappointment or frustration or expectations not being met or hurt feelings that creates this sort of disruption in my body and all of this stuff. Over the years, like I would expel it at people. I'd have a terrible tone of voice. I would blame it on my anxiety. And I didn't know any better because I didn't understand that healing actually doesn't start up here. It actually starts in your body and your ability to not only tolerate emotions, but to regulate the way that you feel when you experience emotion. And my husband has the opposite way. He withdraws. When he feels painful things in his body, he withdraws. And so the thing that has changed everything for me, Lewis, is truly realizing that, the second I started to dig out all the uncomfortable feelings and that had happened or anything else, and I learned how to sit with it. I learned how to give myself the assurance and the love that maybe I didn't get as a kid, that I didn't experience in other relationships, that I wasn't experiencing that moment. Learning how to do that for myself, learning how to regulate my nervous system, how to tolerate the awful stuff that happens to all of us in life, that has been the biggest game changer in my relationship because I don't get angry at Chris. I completely understand what you mean when you say it's really hard to accept a compliment. It's hard to accept a gift. You'd rather have it be about somebody else. One of the biggest breakthroughs I've had in the last couple of years, Rich, is this epiphany about my inability to receive love. And the fact that I was uncomfortable for a long time hearing a compliment or having somebody say something nice or having a birthday party thrown for me or receiving a gift. And I have recently had this breakthrough because I have learned that there is a extremely tight connection between feeling anxious and not allowing love to come in. And so I have this visual, Rich, and I'm going to explain this to you because I just had this emotional experience happen when you sort of were like pushing away the love I was trying to shower you with. So I think when you block love, like imagine like there's this closed door. And when somebody tries to link with you or connect with you or authentically tell you how amazing you are, if you have a hard time hearing it, you basically have put a solid door between you and the other person. And I've been working recently with visualizing the galley doors in a kitchen that swing both ways. Because you're very good at giving love. You're very good at giving support. You're an incredibly amazing friend because you're always there when somebody needs you and you always open the door to listen, to advise, to share. And I'm the same way too. And for a long time, when somebody would try to give it back to me, the door was closed. If you've been following me for a long time, you've probably heard me talk about the fact that you should never hit the snooze button, okay? And let me explain why. Here's how I want you to wake up. When the alarm rings, get out of bed. Period. You want to be a happy person. You want to have a positive mindset. You want to take control of the anxiety, the depression, and the stress that you have. Do not allow yourself, number one, when that alarm goes off, to turn it off and lie in bed and start to ruminate in your mind about everything that you've got to do today and how stressed you feel and to marinate in those negative thoughts. I do not want you to do that. You're going to use the 5-second rule, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you're going to get out of bed. The other thing I do not want you to do is I do not want you, like I used to do, I do not want you, when the alarm goes off, to reach over and tap the snooze button. The reason why I do not want you to ever tap the snooze button is because of how snoozing for a couple minutes impacts your neurology. It impacts your brain function. Again, this isn't something I made up. This is well-established research. You see, I used to be a chronic snooze button hitter. When Chris and I were going through a really rough time, or I notice in times in my life where I'm feeling stressed out or overwhelmed, when that alarm goes off, there's a small hesitation where I start to feel a little stressed and overwhelmed when I think about the day ahead. And it just feels so safe and so satisfying and so tempting to reach over and hit the snooze button and doze off for 9 minutes or 15 minutes. And then the alarm goes off again, and then I reach over and hit the snooze button, doze off for 9 to 15 minutes. And then the alarm goes off again, and then I reach over. And the reason why it's tempting to do that is because you're delaying having to deal with your life. You are giving yourself a false sense of control that I can find 9 to 15 minutes to just avoid having to deal with what I want to deal with. And so I don't want you to do that. And the reason why I don't want you to ever hit the snooze button is because of how dozing off for 9 to 15 minutes impacts the way that your brain works. The way that sleep works is we fall asleep. We sleep in cycles of about 75 to 90 minutes, and then we start another one. And we go into another sleep cycle for 75 to 90 minutes. And then we typically start another one, and we start another sleep cycle that goes 75 to 90 minutes. And after 2 or 3 sleep cycles, or heck, if you're lucky, 4 of them, your body and brain go into a mode where for about 2 hours, your brain just goes into a state where it's getting ready to wake up. So for those of you that wake up naturally before an alarm goes off, or the alarm goes off and you've had anywhere from 6 hours plus of sleep, your mind is now in a state, it's not in a sleep cycle, where it is ready to wake up, it is ready to start the day, it is ready to be deliberate. If you wake up in that state and then you reach over and hit the snooze button and you doze off for 9 to 15 minutes, what do you suppose your brain starts again? If you're thinking a sleep cycle, you'd be absolutely right. And how long does a sleep cycle last? A sleep cycle lasts 75 to 90 minutes. So you drift off into a sleep cycle, your brain does, which lasts 75 to 90 minutes. All of a sudden, the alarm goes off 9 to 15 minutes later. Your brain is in a sleep cycle. You are in a medical, neurological state right now that scientists call sleep inertia. It means that by falling into a sleep cycle and waking yourself up 9 to 15 minutes in it, the cortic region of your brain is now trapped in a sleep cycle. And you realize it takes your brain, once you're awake, 4 hours to shake itself loose of the state of sleep inertia. Why is sleep inertia a bad thing? Studies prove that when you're in a state of sleep inertia, it impacts your speed of processing, it impacts your ability to focus, it impacts your ability to do any kind of strategic thinking. So for you, if you're a chronic snoozer like I used to be, and you sleep and then the alarm goes off, then you hit snooze, then you drift into a sleep cycle, then the alarm goes off, then you hit snooze, then you drift into a sleep cycle, and then the alarm goes off and you get up, your brain, you know how you say when you're a snoozer, you're always like, I didn't get any sleep, and you feel so groggy and tired, and you keep saying, I didn't get enough sleep last night. I didn't get enough sleep last night. Guess what? Has nothing to do with how much sleep you got. It has to do with the fact that when the alarm went off, instead of getting up, you started another sleep cycle. And then when the alarm went off 15 minutes later, you woke yourself up, and now your brain is trapped in a sleep cycle. You're in a state of sleep inertia.
Work on your own. Because the secret to a happy relationship is you being happy and the person that you're with being a happy person. That's like somebody once said to me, you want to know the secret to a happy marriage, Mel? I said, what is it? He said, marry somebody who's happy. Working on your own happiness. Yeah. Because if you're not a happy person, the easiest person to attack is your intimate partner.
It's the person you love the most.
Correct. Yeah. Like, think about when you're a kid. You have to hold your together at school. You have to, look good for your friends. You have to, stick it out at that job that you had as a teenager that you couldn't stand. But when you come home
You snap at your mom. You might be rude to your dad. You ignore your brothers and sisters. You let it all hang out with them. And we do that with our intimate partners. And so if you're not taking care of your own happiness, you're going to vomit your baggage at the person who loves you most. So that's it.
When you place a bet on life and you place a bet on yourself to face something, to believe that it's all going to work out, that you're going to figure it out, magical things happen. Magical things. And I'm telling you, there is energy, there's an aliveness inside of you, a vibrancy that will come when you are willing to push through your fears. I know my son wants to go skydiving for his 18th birthday. I made him a promise I'd do it with him. It is my biggest fear, other than being buried alive. But I do not want to do it. I'm starting to feel a little bit of vomit in the back of my throat and a nervous stomach, just even thinking about it. But I'm going to do it because I also want to reach and experience the full potential of my life. And I know every time that fear holds me back from reaching out to somebody, from saying, "F it, I'm going to go try that thing," to raising my hand when I'm nervous about how people are going to respond, to jumping into something that I know nothing about, I'm limiting myself. And you're doing the same thing.
Your mindset and having a powerful mindset and being deliberate about what you're going to think about and what you're not going to think about, it begins the moment you wake up. And believe it or not, how you wake up, not when, but how you wake up, and the first few things that you do in the morning will dictate your mood for the rest of the day, which based on science is going to impact your productivity, and it's going to impact how you feel about your life. And it will also impact your mindset for the rest of the day. You can think about your morning routine and whether or not you even have one in the exact same way that we think about the brain. You're either defaulting to something that you've always done that may no longer serve you, or you're getting deliberate and choosing to do something that's more positive and powerful because you deserve it. And that starts with your morning routine. So if you're the kind of person where the alarm goes off and you hit the snooze, and then the alarm goes off again and you hit the snooze, and eventually you roll out of bed and you step into your day and you maybe drink a big dark cup of coffee and you skip breakfast and you skip exercise and you're tired. If that's how you start your day, your mindset is going to be impacted by that. If your alarm goes off and you immediately reach for your phone and you start scrolling through Instagram while you're in bed and looking at Facebook, and you are putting all kinds of stuff in your brain that triggers FOMO, that triggers insecurity, that triggers anxiety, that is going to impact your mindset for the rest of the day. And so starting tonight, I want you to take control and be more deliberate about your habits in the morning.
Use the alarm on your phone. Seriously, this is a genius hack. Put the alarm on your phone to use to help you be your future self. It's like a reminder from the future. Okay, cake's done. Get up, go check on it. No, seriously. So every single smartphone has the ability to set an alarm. And on the alarm, when you go to set the time, there's a label. Right now it says alarm. You can literally change the label to help you remember anything. And here's what's super cool about a simple alarm on your phone. Research has found that twice as many people who received quit smoking messages quit smoking over a 6-month period. So these little systems, like setting an alarm on your phone, whether you're reminding yourself to take the vitamins that you want to be taking, or you're reminding yourself to get outside for the run, or you're reminding yourself to spend 30 minutes working on a project that you wanted to get done, they're going to make you, based on the research, twice as successful, twice more likely. This simple stuff works. And it's not that hard. It's not that hard, right? Not that hard to put a Post-it note on the mirror. Not that hard to set an alarm in your phone. Not that hard to set the water bottle out. But you got to do it, okay? Simple systems work because your life is complicated enough.
And if you can put that Post-it note up, you are setting yourself up for success. I'm telling you, it's true. We spend so much time twisting ourselves in knots about unimportant things. And we just talked about how hideous, I'll use the word hideous, because I literally looked hideous. I mean, I not only had a tomato red face and like crazy witch hair and foggy glasses and bad breath and impacted sinuses and probably throwing in a camel toe in there too. I didn't have anything tied around my waist. But not giving a shit about that is very liberating, because otherwise I'd be embarrassed by my own existence walking down the sidewalk. And I would twist myself in knots, worrying about what do I look like and how red is my face? Is my face coming down? And maybe I should go back to the hotel and take a shower and get this makeup off my face and blow my nose before I get a cup of coffee. And all of that energy, twisting myself around what other people may be thinking, rather than just being okay, not giving a shit. It's so liberating. At a very young age, I started to realize, and I think, we all have this epiphany where we go, oh, holy cow. When I get good grades, my parents like me and they love me. I get a lot of positive attention when I make the football team. I'm really feeling loved when I make the cheerleading squad. Ooh, when I got into that college or had that major or made that money or bought that nice car, people really gave me a lot of positive attention. And we high achievers make a mistake of fusing what we're doing with our worthiness. We start to believe that we are only worthy of celebration, support, and love when we are doing something that is worth celebrating or worth validating or worth cheering for. And if you don't wake up and separate the things that you're doing and striving for and the goals that you have from your inherent self-worth as a human being, you will forever feel this sense that you're not enough. You will forever feel this void. Because if your self-worth and your lovability is anchored in achievement, even when you make $1 million, even when you make the New York Times bestseller list, even when you meet the person of your dreams, the second you achieve that thing, you're going to now look for something else, because your worth as a human being depends on what you're doing. The high five habit is all about this radical idea that will change your life. And the idea is this: if you are breathing, you're worthy of celebration. The mere fact that you exist is why you are worthy of being loved and supported and forgiven. And it's why you deserve kindness. It's not because you made it to the gym. It's not because you're making $100,000. It's not because you just got promoted. Should you celebrate those wins? Of course. But those wins are not the reason why you're an extraordinary human being. And, I had this all knotted up. And, I wondered, why did I, every time I achieved my goals, I would still see a woman in the mirror that wasn't enough. I was my own worst critic. And by critic, this is what I mean. I was relentless in focusing on what wasn't working. I was relentless in pointing out to myself all the things I did wrong instead of the 1,000 things I was doing right. And that constant grinding beatdown was so just much the default. I wasn't even aware of it until I discovered the power of high-fiving myself in the mirror and silencing that critic. And one of the reasons why it's so important for you to be clear about what you want out of this next chapter in your life is because who you hang out with, it changes everything for you. It either keeps things the same, or it will be an accelerant that makes it easier for you to make the changes in your life that you really want to make. And so this is research from Harvard that I want you to understand, and it's what is grounding the advice that I'm giving you today. So, do you know that when researchers from Harvard looked at people who had made a major change in their lives in a positive way? Okay, so you take a group of people that made a major change in their life. Half of those people, the reason why that change happened is because something either traumatic or something that was a major life event happened. They got cancer. They lost somebody they loved. They got a divorce. They suddenly were laid off. They lost all their money. Like something happened that was a major life event that rocked them. And you know what happens when that happens to you? First, it's horrendous, but it usually leads to something very positive happening. Now, the other half of the people who had made a very positive change in their life, do you want to know what they did? What they did is they changed their friends. They started surrounding themselves with people that were up to the same thing that they wanted to be doing. I'm sure you've experienced this in your life. Have you ever gone to college? And when you get to college and suddenly you're around a bunch of studious people, it suddenly makes you more studious. Have you ever done a 5K or run a half marathon or done a big walking fundraiser or done Tough Mudder, one of those big kind of group events? What's it like to be at a race where people are cheering you on, where other people are running, where you're all doing the same thing? It's super motivating. And there's even deeper research around this because behavior is contagious. If you're around people that smoke, your objection to smoking gets lowered because you get socialized to it. If you're around people that are super positive, your natural set in terms of being pessimistic will slowly start to raise. If you're around people that every morning they send a text, I've got two friends. Hi, Jenny. Hi, Sarah. Two of my friends here that I text almost every other day about what exercise class we're going to. Just being around them makes me more motivated. And so, James and you, I want you to really understand that who you hang out with matters. It matters not only because your time is valuable and your attention is valuable and your heart and soul is valuable, but it matters because the people that you hang out with have an incredible impact on you. I believe that you are capable of changing. I do. I've just seen too much evidence over the course of my career. Amazing changes that people just like you and me have made. So I know you're thinking, well, this is great, Mel, but where do I begin? So step number one, you begin by making a wish. Just like that moment on your birthday when you close your eyes and wish for something to come true in this next year of your life. Right now, do the same. Close your eyes and think about the next year of your life. What do you want the next year of your life to look like? Begin by making a wish. That's how I began 2 years ago. Yep, my business was upside down, kids were in shambles, my husband was struggling with depression, and I was struggling with everything. I had to create a break from that moment of pain and allow myself to see something different. At the time, I had no idea what the new chapter of my life would be or could be. Here's what I did know. I don't want to stay in this one. And that's all you need to know. All you need to know is you don't want to stay in the place that you're in right now. That right there is a wish for something better. If you know what you don't want, it's very easy to change. As soon as you start removing or letting go of things that aren't working, you'll see all new possibilities. True confidence begins the moment you're willing to try. Okay? And so I really think it's important. I can give you another example. The first time somebody handed me chopsticks, I had no idea how to use them. Was I nervous about picking them up? And I couldn't get like my fingers to twist in the way that you're supposed to. And it was super embarrassed. And they kept like flipping across the table and everybody. Here's the thing. I didn't know how to use them. But isn't it common sense that there's no way I was going to learn how to use them if I wasn't willing to try? See, being confident and the skill of confidence is the difference between saying, sure, hand me the chopsticks. I'd love to try. I'm willing to look like an idiot. I'm willing to be a beginner first versus going, can you get me a fork? I don't know how to use those. Do you see the difference? The skill begins with being willing to try. So many of you saw me on the Today Show today. That is the culmination of 10 years of being willing to try, being willing to walk on a stage and have a panic attack or a neck rash, being willing to get behind a microphone and make terrible content or say stupid things or look terrible in videos. You got to remember what you're seeing is a person on the Today Show who has been working hard for 10 years, trying over and over and over and over and learning and failing. That's what you're witnessing. You're witnessing competency, but the skill is something different. The skill of confidence is trying. And, let me remind you of a fact. Everybody starts at zero. Everyone. Whether you're trying to learn guitar or you're building a social media following or you want to get into the YouTube space or you're writing a book or you're selling, everybody starts at zero. That's how I started. 0 speeches given, 0 television experience, 0 social media following, 0 email addresses, 0 competency in front of a camera or on a microphone. I mean, even take this podcast. Starting this, I started at 0. The tech is intimidating. There are 5 million podcasts on Spotify alone. I'm 54 years old. I don't know how to do that. I haven't done this before. I haven't been in the seat of the person that hosts. But here's the difference with your friend Mel Robbins. I'm willing to try. I lean on this skill of confidence that I've built because I have the definition that's grounded in research. And so do you. You're not going to feel confident. You're going to act in accordance with the research of confidence. You, my friend, are willing to try. That's the secret. The belief becomes real when you start taking actions that are aligned with the new belief. The new belief becomes real. The new belief becomes encoded in your brain, in your nervous system, in your neural pathways, in your habits, in your systems, in the way you talk to yourself. Your new belief becomes real when you take actions that are aligned with the new belief. I did not make this up. This is an entire field of study called behavioral activation therapy. Absolutely everything that I teach you is grounded in behavioral activation therapy. I am trying to make you understand that before you feel like the person you want to become, you need to start acting like the person you want to become. Before you feel ready to go to the gym for the first time in a year, you need to push yourself. Use the 5-second rule. Take a 5-second moment of control. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You need to push yourself to act like a person now that has already got a habit of going to the gym. That's how your belief that I deserve to be healthy and I can figure out how to do it, that's how your belief goes from just a statement that you say to a 5-second moment of control. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take the action and act like that person. Go to the gym. For those of you that want to write, for those of you that want to grow your business, ask yourself, what does a person that is a successful writer do every single day? They write. Before you feel like a writer, you need to make yourself take actions that a writer takes. So that as you stand and you start to say, I can figure out how to write a book. Over time, I could write a book. But then if you leave the bathroom after saying that to yourself, you now need to push yourself to sit your ass in a chair and do what a writer does, which is write about 500 pages of horseshit before you have anything worthy of sharing with somebody else. If you struggle with growing your business, I guarantee you, you're not doing the work that would grow your business. You're thinking about all the reasons why you can't. We need to invert this, everybody. You need to start saying, I am capable of figuring out how to grow my business. I am capable of pushing through the fear and picking up the phone and selling. I am able to figure this out. And then you need to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, take the actions before you're motivated, before you're ready, before, when you're afraid, you can still take the action. When you're hesitating, you can still take action. When you don't feel ready, you can still take the action. Action is the only way you're going to change your life. And by the way, action is necessary. You have to decide what you want to believe, and then you got to do the really hard work to push yourself to take the action before you're ready. That's the only way that you will change how you think about yourself, how you think about your life, how you think about your future. By deciding what you want and pushing yourself to take action 5 seconds at a time when you're scared, when you're anxious, when you're not feeling ready. That's how you change anything. And that's how you put it all together. My husband and I have just bought a house in Vermont. And I know you guys, are in your new home. It's an incredible thing to do. It is our dream house. It's the house that his parents built. It's the family house. We not only were able to purchase this thing, we've been able to completely renovate it, make it our own. This place is the closest place to God that I have ever been. We sit nestled between mountains with a 140-mile view straight down a valley with cascading. It is just spectacular. When I would sit in therapy sessions 8 years ago, and my therapist would ask me to come up with like a totem or a spiritual guide or a vision, whatever, for truth or God or whatever, it's always this view. And so lo and behold, 8 years later, we freaking live there. And I'm sitting on this covered deck looking down the valley. My daughter is sitting next to me, our other daughter who lives in Boston, who's 23, and it's Sunday. And normally on Sundays, I'm not even present on Sundays because I'm now got the Sunday scaries. I'm now thinking about the week ahead. She is starting to now do that. Okay, I got to get going. I got to pack the car. I got to get going. I got a big week of work this week. And it's 7:30 in the morning on a spectacular day. And the energy is starting. And I recognize the energy because that is the campaign of misery that I have lived with for 50 years. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, oh, this is interesting. That's me. And then I stopped in that moment, Jay, and I thought, I don't feel that right now. I just feel that exactly where I am, looking at this view, is exactly where I'm supposed to be. And it was so profound. It's almost like that moment where Eckhart Tolle has on the bench in the beginning of The Power of Now, where I have this profound experience where I think, wait a minute, is this what happiness is? That I'm not 15 steps ahead? I'm just able to be right here without the anxiety, without the stress. I mean, that is like a revolutionary experience for me. I don't think I had ever not felt the default of a revved up nervous system, an anxious mind, or a to-do list that was a mile long. And I don't want to go back to that sort of frenetic busyness that creates chronic stress. And, the challenge for me right now is how do I stay in a space that's happy? Because I love the game of building a business. I love pushing myself. I love and I realized, oh, wait, you actually need both. You need deep spiritual quiet time, and you need the busyness of Los Angeles or Boston or New York in small sprints. But that can't be your default anymore, woman. There's somebody really close to us and our family who has had this massive uptick of anxiety happen. And it has been so debilitating that this person has actually taken an entire week off of work. And I've been thinking that's actually the opposite of what you should do. Mm-hmm. Because if you are scared that you're going to have a panic attack at work so you don't go to work, you're making the anxiety bigger than you. Avoiding that thing or avoiding the situation that may happen makes the fear bigger. I've been in this boat too, where the anxiety's been so debilitating that I've actually had anxiety so bad that it built and built and built and built up inside me when I was a second-year law student that I convinced myself that there was no way that I could get on a plane and go to Albuquerque, New Mexico, where I had landed a summer job, and be able to live and work on my own. And I talk about avoidance. I called that law firm and told them that I had had a family emergency and I had to not come. This was 2 days before I was supposed to get on the plane.
Wow.
And so I have done this over and over and over and over again in my life. And I can't wait until you unpack all the forms of avoidance. But you're right, you do link up this act of, oh my gosh, if I just don't do it, then I'm going to be okay. But you actually make it worse. If you want to know how you are showing up, and if you want to truly improve how you participate in that relationship, simply send your partner a text that says, how can I be a better partner to you? And then ask for specifics. And Chris would tell me, well, you could flatten the cardboard boxes. You could throw out your Kleenex. You could put your phone down at 6 o'clock at night. You could take the dog for a walk in the morning. You could be more present. You could, he would have a whole list of things that would make a difference. And most of us don't bother to ask. So that's number one. You're not even asking. And when you ask that question, your job is to listen and elicit more things for you to do. It is not to defend yourself or to give feedback. There's something that you want to believe. There's some change that you want to make. There's something that you're called toward, but you're just scared. And it's your old beliefs that I'm going to regret this, or this is going to be a mistake, or what if this doesn't work out, or what if this is the worst thing I could have ever done, or what if that, right? And so this is where I am. And I want you to think about what's some change that you want to make in your life and the belief that you need to change in order to really lift yourself up and support yourself through the process of changing. The belief that I want to have is that this next chapter is going to be the best chapter of my life, and that no matter what happens, I'm going to be okay. That really, it's not about a house, everybody. It's about the people that are in the house. And now that I'm here alone, boy, is that true. But I'm so scared to let go. You know, everybody, where you just know it's kind of time to let go, where it's let go of a relationship or a place or a friendship or a career, that there's some big move, right? And yeah, I think I'm taking my time with leaving a family home because it is a big decision. 24 years in one place is a big thing. Having roots somewhere is a big thing. And so my belief and the belief that I want to change is about okayness. It's about the permission to take a risk and to dream and to trust myself. Because, you know, when I close my eyes, just like when you close your eyes and think about this change that you want to make, you know what's right for you. Yes, Faye says it feels like a part of you will die if you leave. The truth is, a part of me does need to die because I'm no longer in that chapter of my life and I'm holding on to it, right?
You say the key to successful days really starts every single morning.
What's your routine? Yeah, what do you do?
Well, I want everybody to think about this like a domino. So what is the first decision that you make in the morning?
Yeah.
Because that one decision will actually trigger either negative decisions or positive decisions. So decision number one, get your rear end out of bed.
Don't push snooze.
Absolutely not. There's a lot of brain science around it. You actually, if you fall back asleep, you put yourself in a state of sleep inertia, which makes you, for the next 4 hours, it makes your brain groggy and it makes it, so snooze.
Get up when you get up.
Get up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get out of that bed.
Okay,
then make your bed. I'm not trying to turn you into a Navy SEAL. I'm just saying complete one thing.
Yeah.
So the third thing that you're going to do is I want you to go into the bathroom and I want you to look in the mirror and then I want you to say nothing and I want you to high five the human being you see in the mirror in the morning. Every single morning after you brush your teeth.
Do you do this every morning? Let's take a quick look.
Right after I brush my teeth, look in the mirror. Really look in the mirror. And then, oh God, I love doing that. I love sending myself into the day with a high five. I got my own back. Let's go. Tell you the science.
Tell us.
So for your entire life, you guys, you have given other people a high five, right?
Yeah.
When you give somebody else a high five, what does it mean?
You're doing great.
Atta girl.
Yeah,
Good job.
Atta girl. And and you've never gone, oh, I hate you. There you go. No, ever. And so the programming is already in your basal ganglia. It's already a habit to associate this with I love you, go get 'em, you got this, I see you. When you do it to yourself, something crazy happens. You aim all of that lifetime of positive neurological programming right back at yourself.
Something else you said, which I love, is a lot of people have their phone next to their bed, and we always hear, don't put it. But your reasoning behind why you don't put it, like why that isn't the first thing you see.
Let me demonstrate.
Okay.
Most of us either have it here, right, or we have it like this, right?
Yeah.
So what happens is you wake up, it's your alarm.
Yeah.
You immediately do this.
Right.
So the first thing that you are putting into your brain, talk about not making space for yourself.
Yeah.
You have just let the entire world into your mind. You have let work stress you out. You have looked at social media and everybody else's life, and now you think you're behind in some fake race. And so here's the thing. You can't trust yourself. I can't trust myself.
Yeah.
And
So what do? You leave it in the other room.
It is literally in the bathroom.
In the bathroom.
And I leave the ringer on. We have a senior in college in Los Angeles.
Of course.
I need to know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
If
but
something happens.
You want to know something crazy?
What?
The Today Show will text you all night long. Yeah. But they'll only call you.
If it's an emergency.
If it's an emergency.
Yeah.
Correct. So you'll hear the call, but it's not there. So when you wake up tomorrow morning and you literally go like this, and then the alarm rings and you're kind of screwed over because now you got to get out of bed to turn the thing off. And you're going to be like, I hate that Mel Robbins person. But by the time you get to the bathroom, guess what?
Yeah.
You don't care to be obsessed.
Correct. You have a chance to turn it off.
Yeah.
And take the space for yourself.
Yes, and you've already gotten up. There's no snooze.
Yes.
You got up.
Yes.
Okay.
I hate it. I hate this habit.
But now you're in it.
Now you're in it.
Yeah.
The study suggests that when you use an alter ego or you create a vision of the future you, the person you want to become, it gives you distance from the scaredy cat you who's never done this thing before. So ask yourself, you know what I always ask myself? I go, well, what would The Rock do in this situation? I just love Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. I constantly use him as my avatar when it comes to confidence. What would The Rock do in this moment? And I always get an answer, and it feels less personal. Because you and I are friends, you can use The Rock, you can use me. What would Mel do if you're feeling unsure and you want to tap into the confidence that you kind of pick up on from me? And this also taps into an entire body of research that I talk about a lot on the Mel Robbins podcast, which is behavioral activation therapy. Decades of research show that when you start acting like the person you want to become in the future now, in your present life, it's one of the fastest ways for you to change your mindset, for you to create new habits. Why? Because when you start acting like the person you want to become in the future, you start acting like that person today, what are you doing? You're trying. You're trying to act like the future you would act. None of what you're doing is a choice. You are stuck in old patterns based on your childhood. You're scared to death of people leaving you. And your feelings and your fears are making you so hesitant. And the other reason why this is not a choice is you deeply believe you're not worthy of love. And so you don't know how to act as though you deserve it. And so if you want to, quote, be me, use me as an avatar. And when you start to get those feelings coming up in your body, like, I can't do this, just be like, what the f would Mel say? Because I'm not right or wrong. And this is your life, Brooke, so you got to decide what's right for you. But I will tell you, if you stay in that feeling, emotional space of, I can't do this, I don't know what to say, you're just going to continue to have the same thing. But if you want something different, you got to show up and act in a different way. My personal experience is that I think it took me decades to heal because I became so good at talking about my anxiety and intellectualizing my anxiety and talking about what happened to me and how it made me feel. And all of that was helpful so that I was aware of what happened. I was aware of what I was feeling. And I also, from that level, was able to come up with ways to cope, whether that was yoga or taking anxiety medication, or it was getting into therapy. But I wasn't doing the work to truly heal the root cause of the anxiety. And it wasn't until I stopped talking about it and I got below the neck and started dealing with the uncomfortable feelings and the stored memories in my nervous system, which is very different than talking about how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Getting into your body and feeling that kink in the nervous system, that memory that you wish that you could forget. That is when I truly flipped the pancake, so to speak, and started to change for real. One act of kindness from one person can change somebody's entire life. And you have that power. And so I want you to think as you head into your day about the image of blowing bubbles. You know when a kid is blowing bubbles and the bubbles catch the sunlight and they float around and they fly away? It feels so good, doesn't it? It makes you smile. And you can stand there on a beautiful sunny day and blow bubbles and they drift off into space. And who knows how far they go? Your energy is just like that. And you can spread good energy, and you should. How do you do that? Be generous with the I love yous. Be super generous, telling people I appreciate you. In fact, I have a habit every single day. I make it a habit to tell somebody that I appreciate them. And I do that by either reaching out to a friend and telling them that I miss them and I'm thinking about them. I have a friend who's going through a really challenging moment right now with her dad. Hospice has been called in, and I'm texting her every morning, telling her that I'm sending her a hug and that she doesn't need to text me back, but I just want her to know that I'm here for her. I tell that to people that help me in the grocery store. I tell it to anybody, honestly, because we all need to hear it. Thank you for helping me. Thank you for being here. I love complimenting people's nails or their jewelry or their hairstyle or their socks and smiling. And don't forget your family. When somebody walks in the door, how do you greet them? Do you put a big smile on your face? Do you run to the door? Do you say, welcome home? Oh my God, I hope you had a great day. I always give our son Oakley the biggest hug, and I hold it extra tight, and I tell him I'm so happy to see him. Because every time you do this, you smile, you wave, you high five somebody, you give them a hug, you tell them that you love them, you text somebody out of the blue, you are a force for good. If you're staying in a hotel like I'm going to be tonight, leave a note for the person that's cleaning your room, a thank you, a smiley face, tell them you appreciate them. We all need to hear it. And when you become radically generous with your positive energy, with your compliments, with your enthusiasm, with your love, it spreads unbelievable waves of joy and positivity, lifting people up in ways that you'll never know.
Why is it so hard to break through some daily habits and do things differently? Why can't I stay consistent in my daily tasks?
I'll tell you why you're frustrated. The same reason why any organizer is frustrated, because you are trying to stay consistent in your head and you are not using simple systems and simple physical cues to keep you organized and to keep these changes top of mind. That's it. And you are managing so much. And you listening to me, you don't give yourself enough credit for how much you're juggling in your own mind. Stop keeping behavior change in your own mind and let's get it out of your head, because I want you to know something. You're not the problem. You have everything within you. You're not the problem. You are capable of learning new habits. You are capable of making amazing things happen. You're not the problem. The problem is that you're attacking this as an innie organizer. You are planning to do this all in your head. And all you need is Audi systems that keep these new changes front and center in front of you. That's how you stay consistent. Stop relying on willpower. Stop relying on having to remember what you need to do. Absolutely not. There is no way you are going to achieve your goals or stay consistent or make all those amazing changes that you want to make, that you deserve to have happen, unless you start to implement systems in your life. Just to give you a visual, everybody. You know, tomatoes in high summer, August at a farmer's market, bright, deep, opaque, shiny red. That was basically the color of my face. My hair is starting to grow out, so the roots are coming in nice and gray. And I put on my glasses and they fogged up. For all I know, I had a camel toe. And I was walking down the sidewalk in LA outside of the yoga studio, headed to my favorite coffee shop to basically get a cup of liquid caffeinated sugar. And I pulled out that phone because I thought, you know what? I did not want to go this morning. My sinuses are bothering me. I know you can relate to that. And so I just start filming. And I agree, I looked like absolute shit. But here's what I think. I walk around looking like that. So why would I be worried about putting it online? Like if you walk into the grocery store wearing a pair of yoga tights and your bra is showing through your t-shirt and you're sweaty and your hair's a mess, why do you feel bad putting a photo of yourself looking like that online? Like you got to stop and consider that you're okay going out in public or being around friends looking like crap, because that's how we all look in real life. But somehow that's not acceptable on social media. And so it's been very liberating for me to just go, F it. I don't care what I look like because I walk into a grocery store looking like this. I know I look like shit. Who cares? But the public and what I look like in public is exactly what I'm willing and I think you should put on social media. Because if you don't, you're subconsciously giving a shit about your appearance. And I think that's really, as you guys keep like teeing up these examples of where I'm either completely violating social norms like the no toes policy, which I was unaware of, or I am being really offensive by taking my shirt off and doing what I thought was a very polite, discreet move of covering my nipples with my t-shirt so I could get some sun because I feel depressed and translucent like a gray dolphin living here in southern Vermont. But I think the real liberating thing about learning how to give a shit is that you put your energy toward giving a shit towards things that matter. And you spend less time draining your energy on the shit that really doesn't matter. And one of the things that I gave up a long time ago, Christine, is worrying about what I looked like. And maybe it was because of the experience of being a commentator on CNN. Because when I was on CNN, as you know, Christine, as an on-air commentator, a paid legal commentator. There were only 5 of us in the entire world that were on that team. And it was a really cool job analyzing some of the biggest cases of our time. I noticed something, that whenever I would be on TV and I would have an opinion about particularly a case that people were really hot about, like Trayvon Martin's murder or what happened in Ferguson or Freddie Gray or Tamir Rice, and I'm a criminal defense attorney. And so I am adding in commentary as a defense attorney. I noticed that when people criticized me, they never criticized what I said. People on Twitter or on social media, here I am on television talking about a very serious topic. I take the job very seriously. They're like, you old bag, have you seen your neck? So who did it? Like just dragging down my jowls that look like saddlebags or my saggy ass turkey gizzard neck, or just constantly trashing me. That I just learned how to tune it out. And I started to not care. And there's something very liberating about leaving an exercise class and your mascara from last night is running down your face like Dracula and going and getting your coffee anyway. You know why? Because you don't give a shit what the other people who are standing in line around you think about the fact that your mascara is running. And half of them, you're probably never going to see again anyway. So who gives a If you struggle with being kind to yourself, it is never too early or too late to have an enormous breakthrough in your relationship to yourself. And this is really important. It's really important because based on the research, there was this massive study done in the UK where they took a look at absolutely every single behavior or attitude change you could make or you could practice in terms of improving your life. And they looked at everything. They looked at changing your diet, practicing gratitude, having a meditation practice, exercising regularly, seeing your friends more, all the things that we know we should be doing, right? But do you know that the single behavior change that has the biggest and most profound impact on your quality of your day-to-day life is simply being kinder to yourself? Yeah, that's right. According to the research, being kinder to yourself, learning how to accept and love yourself, it is the biggest mover in terms of your happiness, meaning, confidence, all of it. And the sad thing about this study is that habit of being kinder to yourself, of accepting yourself, of loving yourself, it's the one we practice the least. Every single day, make it a habit to text a friend. Just out of the blue. And if you want to amplify this, take a selfie video. Hey, I'm just on my walk and I was thinking of you. And hey, my dog says hello. And you not only underestimate how much people like you, you underestimate how much it means to somebody when they hear from you. This isn't just me. This is research that was covered in the New York Times recently about how receiving an unexpected text from a friend makes you immediately feel connected to that person, and it makes the friendship stronger. Make it a practice every single day as you start your day to reach out to one friend with a random message. I want to tell you, I love you. I believe in you. And I believe in your ability to stop telling yourself these lies and to really embrace the truth. The truth is, you deserve amazing friendships. You need amazing friendships. And you are that amazing friend that somebody who is going through a very lonely season, digging their way to a new life, needs desperately right now. In terms of my own experience with getting serious about creating the skill of confidence, it's a game changer. The more that you build confidence in your life, the greater the risks you're going to take. And that's critical in business, in life, for fulfillment. I also have the ability to say no and not even be bothered by what other people are going to feel. Why? Because I have the skill of confidence. It also makes you an incredible negotiator because you realize you would rather be respected than be liked. And see, this kind of need to be liked or to look good is part of the reason why you doubt yourself all the time. I want you to bring that power back internally. That's what the skill of confidence does. And you'll also be able to recognize when you're afraid of something and that fear is just kind of bullshit in your head, and you have a choice. You don't have to let fear stop you anymore. And that's where the skill of confidence comes in. And the same is going to be true for you. First, we're going to talk about globally how I want you to think about being able to focus your attention and get things done, okay? And this is on a day-to-day basis. First of all, when I talk about productivity and the ability to focus your attention on a day-to-day basis, I want you to understand a simple fact. In order to get things done, in order to direct your focus and move through a task, you are going to require some brain power. And so I want you to think about your brain like a car engine, right? And a car engine is what you need in a car to power you forward. And your brain is like an engine that will power you forward to help you get tasks done. Now, an engine requires fuel, right? And sure enough, your brain has a certain amount of fuel. So imagine that you got like a tank that has fuel in it in your brain, okay? And as you wake up and as you go through your day and as you direct your attention on things, guess what happens to that fuel in your brain? It starts to drain. And so I want you to know this, because the tactics and the tools that I'm about to teach you relate to the fuel in your brain and what times of day you have the most fuel. What times of day you are more likely to be able to focus, okay? And what do you think, everybody, is the best time of day for your brain and for the amount of fuel that you have in your brain naturally in order to be able to tap into it and drive your focus at something that's important to you? I love this. You guys are right. Laura says my brain is mush by the end of the day. Everybody's saying morning, morning, morning. I see somebody saying, I feel like I'm on empty. This is a really good analogy, because there are times where you feel like your brain is full of gas and you're able to direct your attention and focus. And then there are times where you're like, Jesus, I feel like I'm running on empty. I'm running on fumes here. And you're absolutely right, everybody. It is mornings. When you wake up, generally what the research shows is that your brain is primed to be able to focus for the first 4 hours of the day. The first 4 hours of the day tend to be, for most of us, the time of day when your brain has the most fuel and when your speed of processing is awesome, and when you are able to direct your attention at what you need to be focused on, okay? So now, there's a caveat to this. You can manufacture boosts of productivity and boosts of feeling like you've got a little bit more brain power. Number one, immediately after you exercise. So if you have a burst of cardio, 30 minutes is what a lot of the research says. But if you have a burst of cardio, you will get a little bit of increase in fuel. Another thing that helps is getting outside. Getting outside when you start to feel your energy and your focus start to go to empty, getting outside is another way to give yourself a boost of brain power.
I want to become empowered to improve my work situation. So I want to ask you about unhealthy work environments and the side effects they manifest. Where should I start making changes?
Well, one thing I want to acknowledge really quickly is that you do have the power to change this, because positive energy is also very contagious. And if you protect your energy, you can take proactive steps to call people out on their behavior. And so that's what we're going to talk about now. And I want to bring a study into this, because there was a new study by the Workforce Institute at UKG that found that 69% of people say that their managers have the greatest impact on their mental health, that their managers had the same level of impact on their mental health as their partner or spouse at home. Now, this was more than the impact that their doctor or therapist had on their mental health. And this was a huge study. They looked at 3,400 people across 10 countries. And so you are right. Negative people at work, particularly a manager, really bad for your mental health, because you can't fix them. And for me, there are two types of jerks out there. And we've already started to kind of unpack this, but I really want to highlight this for you. There are the jerks that are just entitled, like I believe the woman at the hotel front desk was, that she just thinks she's better than everybody else. And they treat people like crap because they've always treated people like crap. You know people like this. They're rude to waiters. They're short with other people. They're full of themselves. They have a tone to their voice. They're super pompous. We hate these kind of people. The kind of people that are rude for no reason other than because this is how they are and this is how they treat people. And I hate people like this. And you know what else I can't stand? I can't stand the fact that they tend to bully us, right? And we just give in. And it just perpetuates this. People get a better room because they're mean to the person at the front desk. The world should not work like this, but it drains our energy. That's why we give in. And so there's that type of jerk. And then there's the second type, which is more like the person in that coffee shop that I was explaining, where they're just under pressure and they can't tolerate the discomfort that they feel. I call these kind of people emotionally immature. And I use the word immature because they throw tantrums. They're like a child who is so frustrated, so they throw themselves on the floor. And they're immature because they do not have a mature or responsible way of tolerating emotional stress. And so in these situations at work, you have a couple choices. Number one, we've already talked about the snow globe. This one works like a charm because it gives you objectivity, allows you to visualize the tantrum, and it makes you feel a little bit better than the person, honestly. And so that's one thing. A second thing that you can do is you are allowed to call people out on this behavior. In the first question that we got, you heard the example of somebody getting a really rude email. There's nothing wrong with picking up the phone or walking down the hall and saying, hey, is something going on with you? Because I don't know if you know how the tone of this email comes across, but it doesn't feel good. And most people, when you call them out on that and you kind of start off with, hey, is something going on with you? Because this isn't like you and the tone is really demeaning. And is there something you want to tell me? Or are you unaware that this is like how you're speaking to people? That is the way that you can call somebody out. And obviously, if you have somebody that is engaging in this consistently, document it, go to HR, because you shouldn't be under a barrage of that kind of abusive language or demeaning language or that sort of like really unnecessary pressure. That's not why you're in your job. And so you can go to HR, but you can walk down the hall, you can pick up the phone and you can say, I'm more than happy to help you with these things, but only if you speak to me in a respectful manner. And this is not respectful. And I'm sorry you're having a bad day, but don't take it out on me. My son actually used to say that to me, and so did my kids. They would literally go, I don't know what's going on at work, but don't take it out on me. I don't work with you. And so call the person out. And if you're not comfortable, start documenting it and then go to HR and try to get some help with it. One of the best places to start is by adding a simple habit to your morning routine or your evening routine, which is to write down 5 things that you want. They can be small, they can be big, anything. So let me see if I can get the 3 steps to developing synchronicity as a superpower in your life. Yeah. Number 1, you have to supercharge your attention about what you want. And if you don't know what you want, start writing 5 dreams down every damn day. And if you want help with that, go to melrobbins.com/dreambig. We've got a sheet that thousands of you have already downloaded that'll walk you through how to do this. Make this a practice because this all begins with what's inside your mind, inside your heart. And so you got to get serious about putting your attention on what you want instead of bitching about the things that you don't have or the way that things are. So superpowering your attention is step number 1 for developing synchronicity in your life, correct?
Yep.
Okay, great. So step number 2, Professor Myers, if I'm getting this, is opening up your heart to those moments where now that you have supercharged your attention and said, I want that damn Gucci handbag. I don't care that it's sold out. I don't care that this, or I want friends. I need more friends in my life. I'm lonely. So you supercharge your attention to what you want. And then you got to be open to in the beginning, coincidences that you could easily be like, that's the way that my phone listens to me and it's serving up ads, or, oh, that person's just reaching out because they want something. You got to get rid of your negative filter on what's happening around you, and you got to wake the hell up and realize that all around you, Dr. Myers is here to profess people. He has researched this. All around you are magical connections, and it's connected to what you want inside you.
Yeah.
And the second
and the emotion that comes with that, you feel.
Yes.
You feel it.
Yes. Yeah. And so you got to start to get positive and intentional about calling out these signs that life is trying to help you, that things are going in the right direction. You got to grab one little thing and use it as like a little toehold to hold on to. And then when you call out that sign, you got to walk toward it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You know, I never realized that this is how I live my life. Like, I think what I've learned in this conversation is that synchronicity is something that I've been tapping into for a very long time. And there are periods of my life where I wasn't tapping into it and I was completely out of alignment and it was full of friction and self-destruction. And then there have been periods where I've allowed myself to say what I want, or at least say what wasn't working. And I allowed myself to start to believe in the signs that would be presented. And having done a tremendous amount of research about the reticular activity system and the filter in our brains and how you can change your mind and how your mind can help you, I really hope that as you're listening to this conversation, yes, you, I'm talking to you, that you will open your heart and your mind to this, because it's very real. I mean, they wouldn't be giving the Nobel Prize to somebody doing quantum entanglement if two particles a light year away could not, like, impact one another. And I want you to realize the power of your thoughts, and you to realize that the world is trying to help you, that you are meant to live in alignment, that synchronicity is not only possible, it's something that you're wired to do. And you can start today. Deborah says, what about complaining about things that genuinely take time to resolve? Like, I'm getting over being sick. Let me ask you a question. Does complaining about being sick actually help you get better? It's a fair question. You're allowed to complain if it's productive. If it makes you feel better to go, and saying it is helpful, terrific. If doing that makes you feel even worse, try not to do it. Say things like, boy, I'm on day 3 of this. I must be getting better. Boy, the meds are going to kick in at any moment. You know, when it starts, Chris is looking at me like, what are you talking about?
No, it's just somebody mentioned, do thoughts count? You know,
yes.
there's outbound, sort of outward complaining, but then there's complaining in your own mind.
Of course thoughts count, because you know what you complain about the most? Yourself, your body, your intelligence, what you just said, the fact that you didn't go to the gym, the fact that you didn't do what you said you were going to do. The beating yourself up is a form of complaining because you're expressing dissatisfaction for yourself. And the problem with all this is that when you do it habitually, or when you complain as just a default mode and you don't realize how much you're doing it, you're allowing your mind to filter the world a certain way, and you're allowing yourself to live an existence where your own thoughts are poisonous. If you feel like hell and you got the flu and you've just thrown up in the toilet, complain all you want, vent all you want. You just earned that. But at some point, you're going to have to stop feeding the monster and putting poison in your own mind. And you're going to have to teach yourself how to start to find milestones that are positive, so that you can become healthier, so that you can change how you think. Not everybody is meant to be your friend. And the second that it feels like a force, be flexible, okay? Here's one of the things that I love to think about, is that you can be the whole package, but if you're delivered to the wrong address, not going to work. Another quote that I've seen that I just love is, you could be the most amazing, juicy, end of summer ripe peach, but if you don't like peaches, you're not going to be a fit for that person. Doesn't matter how good you are. Remember, flexibility. I want you to understand this, because when you tell yourself, oh, I got to be liked by everybody, everybody's got to like me, I got to be everybody's friend, that lie turns you into people pleaser. That lie is why you are in your head going, do they like me? How do I need to change? I know I'm a peach and they don't like peaches, but maybe if I disguise myself as a plum, they'll actually like me. Stop doing that. Embrace the fact that you're a peach. Embrace your whole package and stop forcing yourself to be liked by everybody. The reason why this lie is so important to catch is because there's nothing wrong with you. The more you embrace who you are, the more you're honest about what works for you, the more you show up as your full self. Imagine that. Imagine assuming that people just like you, that juicy peach that you are as you are. Imagine if you just assume, imagine if you're flexible. Imagine who might show up. Somebody who likes peaches. Wouldn't that be a wonderful change? That's why you got to catch that, because this is about energy. This is about you and where you are in your life and where you're going, matching with beautiful human beings that are on that same leg of the journey with you. That's what this is about. So be flexible. And man, you are a juicy peach. Embrace that stuff. Motivation is garbage. Yup. Mel Robbins, one of the most successful motivational speakers in the world, just said, motivation is garbage. You see, you're making the same mistake we all make when we think about motivation. You're waiting to feel motivated first before you take action. And you've been told a lie about motivation. See, you've been made to believe that you got to feel motivated, that feeling, that emotion is going to come before the action. It's actually the opposite. You got to take action and the motivation comes. And that's why the first takeaway is motivation is garbage. Because my definition of motivation is that it's just a feeling and it comes and it goes. Okay? That's the way that you've been using it. And the irony is you need motivation. Motivation is fundamental. You need this desire to move in order to finish a project. You got to have motivation to get out of bed, to move off the couch, to head to that networking meeting. And I know that you felt motivated before. You felt motivated when you're on a team and lots of people are yelling at you. You felt motivated when you need to pay your bills. But the truth is, when you're alone and you got something that you need to do that's hard or that's, I don't know, going to require some effort or that scares you a little bit or it's going to put you out there, guess what's not going to be there? Motivation. You're going to come up with every excuse in the book why you shouldn't make your calls, why you shouldn't go to the gym, why you don't feel like going out of bed. And that's because if you rely on the feeling of motivation first, you're waiting for something that's never going to come. That's why you've spent years thinking about what you need to do instead of just doing what you need to do. Waiting for motivation is a trap because you're never going to feel like doing the things you need to do to create a better life, period. One of the things that I notice can happen when you are in a period in your life where you're trying to heal, you're investing in yourself, in your personal growth. You mentioned that you're working on trauma. You're trying to dig out of some of the holes maybe that you feel like you fell into. You're trying to change your mindset. That's serious work. That was me for years too. Here's the problem with having a big healing journey. You're not having any fun. I think about periods of my life when I was going through a lot of change and I was working on myself and I was doing everything that you're doing. Every book I picked up was self-help. Everything that I listened to was self-improvement. I couldn't even remember the last time I read a fiction novel or I went to a concert or I went to a party. Everything got so serious because my focus became so serious. And my focus was about improving my life, improving my life, improving my life. And doing the work to change your life, it's important. Doing the work to identify toxic patterns that you have or bad thinking patterns that make you feel like that's super important. But you must also double down on the fun while you're doing the deeper work. And so the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to set an intention that your number one goal this year is to have more fun, to invest in that first category, hedonic happiness, that researchers say is so important. Because yes, it's meaningful. Yes, it's fulfilling to do the hard work to change your life for the better. But changing your life for the better also means that you need more moments of fun in your life. How you create a better life with goal setting. Because goal setting from this point forward must be a part of your life if you want to feel a greater sense of purpose and meaning, period. And so I want you to come back to this episode. I want you to bookmark it. I want you to share this with people that you care about. If you've got somebody like I do who's a college senior, and as they approach graduation and they start to feel like they're about to have a quarter-life crisis and they're lost, you know what they need? They need goals. If you have a friend going through divorce, you know what they need? They need goals. If you're bored in life or feeling stuck or you've got to hit the reinvention button, you know what you need? You need goals. And you can re-listen to this every single quarter at any moment in your life and walk yourself through this very simple but powerful and life-changing research to get very clear about what you want and why you want it and how you're going to go achieve it. Now, speaking about the how, you want to know how? Habits are how you achieve goals. Systems are how you make it easier. And the other thing you have to understand is that there are going to be legs of your journey in life, and this is one of the hardest things, where people are going to pull off and take a different route. That's okay. They may come back at another time. That's okay. And, the final thing that I wanted to say about this is it's a very simple exercise that you can do with somebody. And this helps somebody who is either struggling with happiness and doesn't know how to get started, or is struggling with confidence and is not able to take action, or who is resisting the changes that you are doing and you would love to see them do. We did this with our daughter, who is now 23, and last summer when she graduated from college, really unhappy. 2 years of college had been imploded, and she was extremely depressed and basically just drank her way through it and graduated and was not happy. Big life change. Nothing was going according to plan. She had planned this huge trip to go to Cambodia and do a big service trip for 4 months. That wasn't going to happen. Just lost. And so Chris and I sat with her for a couple hours, and then I said, and she's like, I don't know what to do. I'm 22. I'm stuck. I'm miserable. I don't even know how to start. And I said, I actually think you do. I think you're just scared. Take out a blank piece of paper. Draw a line down the center. On the left-hand side, I want you to write happy me. Now close your eyes and think about a time that you remember being happy or more confident or alive. It could be any word you want, right? And you might have to go back to childhood. Our daughter closed her eyes and she said it was senior year in high school. And I said, okay, so write down all of the things that you were doing in a week of your life, senior year in high school. Just describe your life for me. Oh, I got up and do it in detail, everybody. I got up at 7 a.m. or 6:30. I was leaving the house by 7. I was with my friends all day. I was looking forward to going to college. I was playing varsity lacrosse. I was exercising 6 days a week. I was only partying with friends twice a week. I, was in a healthy dating relationship. I ate 4 dinners a night at home. Like just do. Great. Write down what your life looks like now. I sleep till 1. I drink every day. I feel like I don't see my friends because everybody's scattered now that we graduate. I don't have anything to look forward to. My trip to Cambodia is canceled. I'm not exercising. Okay. Compare the two. Your own life experience offers the map. And we want to overcomplicate these big words like happiness. I know I did for decades, or confidence. It's actually found in the little things. If you do this simple exercise of drawing a line down a piece of paper and you write down what life looked like in great detail. When did you wake up? When did you go to bed? How often were you with friends, family? What were you doing for work, exercise? What were you eating? If you then compare that to what life looks like now, you now know what to do. And the fact is, your whole life is the little things. It's when you wake up, it's the first thing you look at, it's what you do with your body, it's how you greet your spouse, it's how you talk to yourself, it's what you say to yourself when you look in the mirror, it's the mood that you walk into work with intentionally. It's how you greet your animals or your roommate when you end the day. It's the tone of voice that you use. That's your whole life. And if you were to just take the time and intentionally write down a few simple things that you do when you're happy in life, and you were to focus for the next 7 days on just adding one of those in a day, you would be very surprised how getting some of the little things right actually starts to turn your life in a completely different direction.
The 5-second rule leverages proven principles in modern psychology, and there are literally hundreds of examples that I could point to. First, let's talk about two concepts, one called locus of control, the second called a bias toward action. So a locus of control is a foundational principle in psychology. You should Google it. Back in the day, researchers figured out that there are basically two kinds of people. People that believe that they're in control of their lives, and folks that believe that life is just happening to them and they're a victim of whatever might happen. Now, when you look at these two types of people, people that have an internal locus of control, a belief that they're in control of their lives, they're happier, they're more successful, more productive. So the question becomes, how do you create an internal locus of control in yourself? The answer is simple. It's called a bias toward action. So a bias toward action is a psychological principle that means you're the kind of person that has a bias toward taking action instead of a bias toward thinking. How do you create a bias toward action? You guessed it, the 5-second rule. The 5-second rule is a tool that will teach you how to take action. And over time, as you use it, you not only learn how to take action, you become the kind of person that operates with a bias toward taking action. And when you take action over and over and over on your instincts, on your desires, on your commitments, guess what you get? You build an internal locus of control. You become the kind of person that believes that you're in control of your life because you're proving it to yourself, one 5-second decision at a time.
Once you make that first cold call, you're likely to keep going. Once you start writing that first sentence on this chapter, you're going to keep writing. Once you hit record on that video, you're going to keep going. Once you fill out the first name, last name line on the application you need to fill out, you're going to keep going. Once you pull up your resume template and you start writing, you're going to keep going. Because the problem isn't your ability to do what you need to do. The problem is you've been trapped in this stress and trauma and nervous system triggered vicious procrastination cycle. And look, I know this sounds like, really? Oh my God. Mel, come on. I was listening to this because I want to be more productive. I want to make more money. I want to get more shit done. I want to have more life balance. Now you're telling me productivity. It's about forgiving myself. It's about calling forth the future me. Why would I want to try that? I told you procrastination was not about productivity. And I also told you that the thing that triggers it was going to surprise you. And that's why this topic is so important. I say every day that it is never too late to wake up and be the person you want to be. And you deserve that. And here's the truth on how you do that. You have to act like you believe in yourself before you believe in yourself. I'm going to say that again. You want to learn how to stop doubting yourself? You want to learn how to believe in yourself again? You want to learn how to not be so afraid or full of doubt or full of perfectionism, which, by the way, is something you learned in order to cope with crap that was going on in childhood. Perfectionism, everybody, is what you do in order to protect yourself from rejection. There's a huge, huge connection between your desire to be perfect, procrastinating, and the fear of rejection. And so using these tools, you not only are going to break the pattern of procrastination, you have a roadmap for the actions that take you to the future you. Because again, you have to act like you believe in yourself before you do believe in yourself. So let me just make this super, super detailed for you. Viddy, when you wake up tomorrow morning and you sit down in that chair and you walk through these simple steps that I have just taught you based on the research, when you start drawing, you are acting like you believe in yourself. And notice you started drawing before you did believe in yourself. That's why this is so powerful. When you see yourself acknowledging that you're procrastinating and labeling the stress and forgiving yourself for getting triggered by it, and then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, doing it anyway, because you're the kind of person that picks up the phone or picks up the pen or walks out the door or says that thing or does that thing, and you keep doing that consistently, you know what's going to happen? You're not only going to get the results that you want, you're going to believe in yourself because you're going to see yourself doing the work to get the results that you want. It begins with the action.
Because you made it this far in a video, I want to celebrate you. Most people start and don't finish. Most people never actually follow through. Most people say they want something, but they don't ever do the work to actually get it. But you are different. You are special. Believe Nation, you made it here all the way to the end, and I love you. So as a special celebration, if you put a hashtag believe down in the comments below on this video, I will showcase you and celebrate you somewhere on the screen in a future video because you are awesome. For some incredible Marie Forleo motivation, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
In the beginning, when I was first growing the business and first getting it off the ground, I was definitely, work-life balance was less of a reality because I just had to work constantly in order to keep the lights on.